Do I need it?
Just after you buy, you just.
Oh, okay. I can control. I can control it. I point where?
This one is the mix.
I point where? Oh, I doing that. Okay.
Oh, you want us that maybe to help you with it?
I think you're doing.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Humanistic Youth Center of Tzu Chi Foundation. This afternoon, the topic is a little bit out of the ordinary because we are talking about humanitarian aid, looking for the village to help. So this topic is a little bit unusual in the sense that isn't humanistic aid coming from yourself? Why are we asking a village to come in, to be part of the equation? So today we are very privileged to have two very renowned speakers in humanistic work in Singapore to speak with us and share with us their experiences. First off, we'd like to share with you the program run for today. So can I have the next slide? Yes. First, we have a 30-minute sharing by Dr. Fong Poh Him, and followed by screening of movie Selfish, which is 55 minutes. During that 55 minutes, if there's a nature's call, please feel free to do that nature's call, because we will do away with a toilet break due to time constraints. Following that, we're going to have Dr. Lim Chin Siah share with us, and we'll have a Q&A sessions. So we will start this afternoon session by first introducing Dr. Fong Poh Him. Dr. Fong Poh Him is one of the pioneers in plastic and reconstructive surgery in Singapore way back in the, sorry, should I say 70s? Okay. So he has actually worked in SGH for 10 years before he came on into private practice in Mount Elizabeth Hospital. He's currently now the visiting consultant at the Singapore National Skin Center, teaching the dermatologists do the surgical procedures. I've known Dr. Fong since 2002 when I came in to Tzu Chi, and at that time he has already done what 10 years, 10 years of overseas missions in Tzu Chi. So with his wealth of experience, we would like to welcome Dr. Fong, who goes overseas all the time, helping those who are in need. And his favorite is lumps and bumps and burns and cleft lip, a situation you don't like to be in for yourself. We welcome Dr. Fong Poh Him.
Thanks so much. And good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, now I know you're expecting to, please sit down, everybody. We need everybody seated so that we can start the activity. You know, in Tzu Chi, everybody expects that we will give you a lecture and a talk as per normal, and I'm depending on my following speaker to do it for me. For my own, it is going to be a sharing session, all right? Tzu Chi sharing session requires everybody's participation, and there will be a mic going around to everyone, okay? What I need you to do is use the mic to stand up, say your name, and I give you 20 seconds to say why you believe in humanitarian work, okay? It's very easy, from your heart, whatever. Even if you don't believe it, never mind. Just say what you feel like you want to say. Okay, your name and why you think humanitarian work is important.
Ao Yong, I think it's helping myself to feel good. Helping others. I'm Ong. What I feel is whenever I've got some experience in this humanitarian work overseas as well, and I feel each time I go out, I am able to see how the people, the underprivileged people need whatever we can provide, and every time we provide a little bit to them, it's quite a lot for them to feel, and that when after that you come back, you feel very satisfied that today I've done something for them, and that's why it keeps being going.
Hello, everyone. I'm Edwin. I'm with Zuchi. I think, yeah, going for mission is not just to be able to help people. I think every time after coming back, we feel ourselves energized and ready to be a better person as well. Thank you.
Hi, Fong Chin Siah. Doing humanitarian work. Maybe it's like a job to me.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I think humanitarian work is important to help close the inequality gaps around the world and to help heal the world, really.
Hi, this is Miyu here. I actually learn from what I helping them. I think that's my my objective in doing this.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene. I think for me, it just reminds me how fortunate I am. So every time I will be even more grateful for whatever I have when I see what other people doesn't have. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lai Ho. In mission, we really learn a lot. It's a big family. We share what we help people, and when they smile, you really feel good in your life.
I'm Shilan. I'm grateful that I can come on to today's living standard, all these of things, and it's all along my wish. When I'm able, I want to help.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. Actually, I learn from others. Every time when I go for any mission, I think I get a lot of energy from there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tae Leong. I'm a dentist, so I'm with Tzu Ji for humanitarian mission. So for me, I like to follow Master's footstep in helping people and relieving people from suffering. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Li Wai. I'm a nurse. I think it's a duty as a human. So especially if you are a nurse. So, thank you.
Hello, I'm Gui. The mission made me more grateful in life.
Afternoon, everybody. Actually, medical mission for me is to impart my knowledge when we do the groundwork. At the same time, remind ourselves, learn to be grateful what we have in Singapore. Because every day you hear Singaporean full of complaints, this one no good, that one no good, you know. But when we go to all these countries, then you realize that how fortunate we are. So we have to learn to be more grateful and be happy with what we have. Then life will be much more happier. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Si Ching. I'm also a nurse. Helping people is the nature of a medical professional. If you can go out and you can see some unlucky or unfortunate group of people, when you help them, they get well and they are very grateful, you also feel very happy. So it's also win-win situation for both of us. So I will continue as much as I can. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Richard. Okay, from the mission, we not only help the people, right? From there, we will feel that we are the lucky one. And we should share the love to more people, right? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gert. And I think in health and sickness, we are all the same. And I think we all deserve the same care. So no matter which background we have. So that's, I think, is one of the essence of this work.
My name is Yayun. I'm also a trained surgeon, and I have gone on the Tzu Chi mission before as a general surgeon, but now I've forgotten all my GS training. Now I'm a breast surgeon. So anytime if you need a breast surgeon, you can let me know.
I'm Ming Ter. I was a trauma surgeon before. I worked with Tzu Chi for many, many years, and I'm in this condition now because of a stroke when I was doing a 4-year project in Cambodia. So I was actually operated in Cambodia and evacuated back to Singapore. And I've since sort of made some recovery. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Wei Cong. So yeah, the thing about missions is that I think as a human being, you see some another human being in suffering, they have the urge to help them. So I guess that's the point of missions. Yeah.
Okay, we've heard everybody speak. I think this is a very important step actually, because I have taken many medical teams. Obviously, as you can see, for this particular talk, I decided to go and check out my old T-shirt. I have a Tzu Chi T-shirt which nobody else has in Singapore now because it belongs to the very first one. We were wearing. If you look at the Tzu Chi uniform, it's the blue angel uniform, right? Blue on top, white pants at the bottom. And they needed to do medical teams. So I brought in medical teams and joined them. But I realized that we were actually not quite Tzu Chi in our behavior. We were like doctors. So my friends would be throwing sandwiches to each other and so on. Something is no in Tzu Chi. So I actually went to speak and said we would change the uniform so that we would be still identified, but we would also not be identified as not having been trained. And that's why we have the reverse uniform, which is white on blue. And we put a little logo on it. But that over the last 20 years, the children and so on of Tzu Chi have grown up and become doctors. And lo and behold, they know how to do it. They can sing and dance in Chinese and they do all the shows. And the white uniform became as important as the blue uniform. And today we have a lot of people wearing white uniform with all the ranks that go with it. Okay, my sharing is about TIMA today, all right? It will not be about what we do because I'm sure it will be more than well explained by Medicine Sans Frontiers as to why you need to do missions. Can I have the first slide? Well, I was doing missions, of course, well before that, but in 1999, Tzu Chi invited all the doctors. They sent a letter to every single doctor in Mount Elizabeth Hospital, where I was located, and asked for volunteers to join a mission to Cebu, which is in the Philippines, with the Filipino team. And I was the only one who actually signed up, I sent a letter in and then they called me up and said, you come for a meeting. And then it turned out there's nobody else. There's only me. So I said, okay, I'll still go because we're quite game at this. And when I went to Cebu, I think those of you who have not done really big missions before need to attend one of these from the Philippines, especially the Philippines. But since then, of course, there are some in Indonesia. At the Philippines, we saw 16,000 people waiting for medical care. And there were like maybe 200 of us. We thought we were a lot of people, 5-6 buses, until we saw a sea of heads. 16,000 people queuing up to see you. And you're not going to finish the job, whatever you do, Next. Next slide, please. Well, you can see what I looked like. I was a young man then. Hair was all black. I was quite skinny, and I was wearing the Blue Angel uniform because there was no other uniform for the medical team. When we started, there was no TIMA. This one, right? TIMA stands for Tzu Chi International Medical Association, and it started from here. We decided that since there was so much help needed and we had so many countries willing to volunteer, we all gathered together with Master Cheng Yen in Tzu Chi in Hualien to decide on what to do. And we had a big round table with Master chairing the session, and every country, we have about 8 countries. Today we have 92 countries, you know, but in those days we had only 8 countries. So those of us like Singapore, we got a lot of doctors, but not many poor people, would volunteer the doctors to help the countries which need help but don't have that many doctors. In those years, it was Indonesia. And Indonesia had a really hard time because there's so many people and so well distributed. So we used to go there almost, and my teams they are still here, you can see. We used to go there every month to do mission in Indonesia. And we went in 1998. The first time was when there were riots on in Indonesia, and they were attacking Chinese in Jakarta. I remember my team every day dropped from 15 to 20 to finally, I think 9 of us only end up going. But when we went, there was no trouble. No? We arrived, the bus took us to Serang, where we did the mission. Then when we came back to the airport, everything was burned down. You know, the apartments and so on burned by the rioters. It turned out the rioters were from Serang. So when we went to Serang, they were in Jakarta. And when we went back to Jakarta, they went back to Serang. So we never met up with any of these people. And every year, every month after that, we continued to do missions. And then finally, we took on Batam and Bintang and did missions for them. And in that period of time, we started to build up the Tzu Chi team for Indonesia. And today, they are now one of the strongest teams of Tzu Chi in the world. As you know, now Tzu Chi is everywhere now, all around the world. And I will show you the reasons why. Next. Okay, in 2004, I decided that there was a lot of requests because the people who went, my doctor friends who went with me and said, Dr. Fong, it's very nice. Can I learn more about Tzu Chi? Can I do? But we didn't have anything to show them, you know. And I actually realized that the secret of the Tzu Chi mission is not in the doctoring at all. It was in the volunteers. The volunteers made it work. When people see how all these people, some of the people are here, they all paid their own way. And you can imagine a doctor working in Mount Elizabeth, what's a flight? That's nothing to you, right? What a taxi driver, a worker has to raise the same amount of money to go with you to do the mission. But they cannot operate on anybody, right? They can only help in construction, in looking after the patients and getting patients in and out of theater for you. It was a very good feeling for this. And I think people enjoyed that the most. So because of that, I felt that the best thing to do was to start a free clinic in Singapore, where we would be able to duplicate this effect on Singaporeans. I don't think there'll be any patients, but anyway, I said we will start it. And that's how it started in Singapore. Thanks. So in Singapore, and there you are, see, we start to see people you can recognize here now. When we started, it was in actually Chinatown. We got a little office in Chinatown and we opened it up. And I said, well, they said, we can't really get any volunteers. Everybody's working in Singapore, right? So I said, okay, we'll run it along the lines of our mission. It's free of charge as a mission site. And I will volunteer to do Sunday mornings, 10 to 12 o'clock, because that time I'll be free because all my but I told my staff, the nurses and so on who are volunteers, you will ask all your, wherever you are in the hospital, all the doctors, you ask them if they want to volunteer for this free clinic, which is only 2 hours. And if you can get one, then you take off 1 weekend from me, right? So theoretically, I booked 26 weekends for me to run the clinic. And we started in 2004, and until today, I've not run a single clinic. Can you imagine? I still hold the license, but I have not needed to run a single clinic. There is always a volunteer, and it has grown so big. We have a lot more volunteers, and they all feel it because guess what? It works. The volunteers who are serving in the clinic really represent Tzu Chi spirit, and they can then, not from me, from them, because that's how we actually get people to participate.
Next. So today, well, we have a lot more than that, but since it has grown so big, we were doing a lot of international missions next. So from Indonesia, we started taking on, we said we will take 2 international missions, and we started working on Sri Lanka, then we worked on Cambodia, and then on Laos, and so on. So the missions were actually to help people. Wherever help is needed, it will be given. But there's a requirement. I need to require the master's support. I have found that all this effort that I've done, nobody beats. If you have ever got a chance, do go to Taiwan, and because master is not well enough to travel anywhere in the world, she's always based in Taiwan. If you can get to see her, do try to, because it's not often in our life that we meet a wise person. And that's what I consider. Next. So this is what you see if you go to, it's still there, right? Dental clinic. We even had a dental clinic. I found the dentals to be the most motivated of all my doctors, you know. The surgeons are all very good for work on site, but at home, they sort of take time out. But my dentals are really the most hardworking people, and they are the ones who help spearhead the TIMA as a team. So TIMA has now turned to be an international, although we are based in Singapore, we are now becoming international. So all our missions are planned to allow foreign teams to join us as long as they're part of CITI. So we usually have teams from Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, wherever the country can spare, people can join our teams and participate. Next. And of course, what you are seeing, it's gone bigger. These are slides from 2017 before the COVID struck, but we have got bigger than that now. We won't go through that. Next. Remember, that is this guy in the thing is an old friend of mine. Unfortunately, he's passed. But you can see the dentals are the key to me, the dentals are the key to running a good medical team. Next. Okay, next. So you can see there's no doctor there, huh? All you see are volunteers. So the secret to get is the volunteer. And you'll be surprised at how easy it is to get the volunteer. Because in certain, I remember there was one trip to Sri Lanka, I think. They even had somebody from the television station come with me. Unfortunately, they all spoke in Mandarin, which I don't speak. And I thought he was just a volunteer. And I made him carry all things. And then, so he didn't say anything. He actually did, carry my diatomy set, everything, and delivered safely on there. Then I thought, oh, it's such a poor thing. I let him assist me in the operation, hand surgery, so it's not a problem. So I just hold my retractors, I operate. So he patiently operated, and there was TV man taking pictures of him and so on. I didn't know until at the end of the mission. It turned out, I even made him make lunch like me. Okay, when we have lunch, one sandwich is all you've got, and we divide into 2, you have half, and we finish, you start work again. He said, huh, you mean there's lunch? I said, yeah, there's lunch. We are doing mission, you know. At the end, it turned out he's the producer of the show. I told him, I can't speak Mandarin, so it's too bad for you. Anyway, we get a lot of good publicity because people are actually moved by what they have to do. That's why I want participation. It is no good listening to other people. You must participate. And that's why we started with participation, to make you all speak on it. Anything else? Keep going. I mean, this will show you what we have now in Singapore. We have plenty of sessions now. Next. This is what we are all about, okay? Humanitarian work is always based on people. It's not based on geographical structure. It's not based on religion. It's not based on political, nothing. It's people. When you see a fellow man suffering, that's what you need to do to help. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Fong, for the inspiring talk. Indeed, we are all participants, not just watchers alone. And following Mui is going to share with us the lives of different people whose lives have changed in the process of changing lives for others. we would like you to enjoy the movie. The movie title is called Selfish. Probably selfish is not the appropriate title for what the people do through their lives.
So we're going to speak.
Je pense qu'il en faut de l'égoïsme pour aider l'autre.
Papa, quand est-ce que tu vas rentrer? Parce que je veux te voir.
C'est sûr que c'est difficile de comprendre qu'est-ce qu'on va foutre là-bas, c'est difficile de comprendre qu'on parte.
This film begins with these lines that symbolize the paths chosen by those who undertake humanitarian work. It's a very personal commitment, one that sometimes isn't easy to explain. For some, it comes from a lifelong, deeply rooted and irresistible attraction to helping others. For others, it's something they fell into by chance. This film is not only about the people from all over the world who engage in humanitarian work in the field, it's also about those who share their personal and private lives, who didn't choose the humanitarian path. How much do they understand about humanitarian work? Somewhere between everything and nothing. And how do they feel about it? A mixture of admiration, incomprehension, and apprehension. This is their story, too. This film will take us to places where humanitarian engagement is lived intensely, on the front line, in far-flung lands, where the most beautiful images are not always the ones you would imagine. Along the way, it will also highlight the questions that tug at our consciences, about the terrible things that cause suffering and outrage among the people who choose to engage. This film could have begun in 1,000 different ways. It could have begun with a war. It could have begun with an emergency, with a virus. This film could have begun with famine. But this film begins with faces, humanitarian faces. They are the ones closest to the wars, emergencies, pandemics, and famines. For them and their loved ones, beyond the decision to engage, there is the risk, the first assignment, the sense of powerlessness, the absence from home, the people encountered, the return home, the unspeakable things witnessed. Often, when they make the decision to engage, humanitarians only listen to themselves. An irresistible force drives them to follow their own convictions, their own desires, their own view of the world as it is, as it could be, to leave behind those who share their private and personal lives. Leave their loved ones, follow their own inner voice. Help others. Everyone has their own story. The motivations for choosing humanitarian work are often secret and private. They are always personal and rarely prescribed by others. For some, it's a long-held dream. Some are more hesitant. For some, it has always been a calling. Some never imagined that one day they would choose this path. Some will never do it again. Some can't wait to set off on the next assignment. Some go into the field for the wrong reasons. Some take their families with them. Some leave their families behind. Some want to save the world.
Le fait de partir, de s'engager, de se dire je lâche tout, c'est déjà pas rien, quoi. Le pourquoi, pour moi, il reste propre à chacun et on peut pas le juger, ça.
It's kind of a humanity. If you don't have this sense of humanity, you cannot be working with NGO. So it depends about your objective, your personality, and your needs, what you need to do.
J'ai entendu des gens, des fois, qui critiquaient les humanitaires en disant « oui, il est parti, il a laissé toute sa famille, mais c'est une fuite en avant, etc. » Moi, je ne peux pas dire ça avec ma sœur. Franchement, vu que ça a commencé déjà à 8 ans, je le vois vraiment comme quelque chose qui nous dépasse, en fait.
Mon engagement à moi, il est très en relation avec ma vision de l'injustice, en fait. Ce qui me fait réagir, en général, par rapport à des situations désespérées, c'est pas un sentiment de pitié par rapport aux gens qui peuvent vivre ça. C'est plutôt un sentiment de colère et de révolte.
Tous mes choix ont été faits en fonction de pouvoir aller travailler à l'étranger. Mes parents, ils trouvent ça assez étrange parce que, bon, il faut comprendre, moi, je suis la première génération née au Canada. Mes parents viennent de la Chine. Et mes parents disent souvent, mais on n'a quand même pas fait tout ça pour ça. Puis mon père, à chaque fois qu'il me voit, il me dit, mais quand est-ce que tu vas avoir un vrai boulot?
When I heard from other expats, yes, we want to go. I thought, why do you want to go to the danger? Why is it something that you really want to do it? But once you live it, now I'm one of them. I'm addicted to this kind of job. I want to go again. I want to do this kind of job, to feel it. It maybe someone, they will say, that some people, they will say it's adrenaline rush. Maybe it's this, and maybe that's the feeling that you are part of the change.
Sometimes like there is something that attracts you to do something. You cannot like close your eyes and just run away.
Je me souviens, comme Rwandaise, nous avons vécu une histoire pareille, d'être vulnérable, la guerre qui a détruit presque tout. Et puis, je me suis dit catégoriquement que je vais passer ma vie dans la vie humanitaire. Oui, je me disais que je vais sauver la vie. C'est ça la raison de vivre.
From no risk to the ultimate risk. Beyond the risks of the field, there is the risk of doing something wrong, the risk of not being up to the task, the risk of crumbling under the pressure. And there's also the fear of disease, abduction, accidents, attacks. The fear of fear. Risks are everywhere in every humanitarian mission.
J'ai peur comme tout le monde, donc je suis pas différent. Je pense que non, la peur, la peur de mourir, elle est là.
Pour ceux qui font des contextes de guerre, qui font des contextes ultra violents, je pense que le risque, il est d'y laisser sa peau. Hein.
J'ai l'impression que c'est le deal. Le risque zéro n'existe pas. On le prend.
Mais c'est une pression continuelle, surtout aujourd'hui, parce qu'avant, c'était quand même un peu plus... Alors, on dit oui, avant, c'était mieux. C'est pas que c'était mieux, c'était différent et on comprenait mieux. C'était assez clair, il y avait une ligne de front. Aujourd'hui, c'est très, très diffus. Tout le monde est potentiellement dangereux. On est des cibles, on devient des cibles. Et ça a changé.
Moi, je me disais, s'il doit arriver quelque chose, moi, j'ai eu ma vie. C'est pas comme des jeunes de 30 ans qui partent, qui ont encore tout devant eux.
La part de risque, on la met en balance avec la nécessité d'apporter de l'aide, en fait. On ne prend pas des risques pour ne rien faire. On prend des risques, si tant est qu'on estime que ce qu'on va faire est suffisamment important pour les prendre.
les risques les plus difficiles que j'ai eu à confronter, je pourrais dire que c'était dans mon pays. Dans mon pays, en Côte d'Ivoire, et pendant cette crise que nous avons traversée, parce que nous étions en zone rebelle, on avait en fait des armes sur la tempe et qui nous, enfin, des gens qui nous ordonnaient avec des armes sur la tempe de pouvoir prendre soin de leurs patients. Sinon, ils allaient pouvoir tirer.
J'ai serré mes équipes dans mes bras quand on avait échappé à ça, de la catastrophe. J'ai eu peur quand on se fait voilà, attaquer, qu'on a une calage sur la tête, etc. C'est extrêmement... bah, ça fait peur, quoi. Puis après, on vit avec ça, quoi, tout le temps. Et moi, je pense qu'on a tous développé des techniques pour essayer de vivre avec ça. Moi, je me définis toujours comme une polytraumatisée. Bien que j'ai cumulé les traumas, je les ai mis comme un millefeuille.
Tant qu'on est dans l'incident, il n'y a pas de problème, parce qu'il faut être en action, il faut gérer les autres, etc. Dès que le moment critique est passé, je suis liquide. Bon, on en sort encore sauf cette fois-ci, quoi. Jusqu'au moment où on se dit, bon, ça m'est arrivé une fois sur un pays où je dis, là, je ne peux plus. Je peux plus, j'ai la trouille, et cette trouille, elle ne passe pas, elle est continuelle.
J'ai bossé pas mal au Moyen-Orient, donc en Irak plusieurs fois, en Syrie il n'y a pas longtemps, ou au Liban, et où là, en fait, les conditions sécuritaires sont assez hautes, avec des cliniques qui sont par exemple en Syrie à quelques kilomètres des lignes de front avec l'État islamique. Puis c'est des moments où à chaque fois on se dit oui, bon, là c'est un peu qui tout double.
Et après, c'est plus comment est-ce que chacun individuellement, on se dit oui, je veux prendre ce risque, ou non, je ne veux pas prendre le risque. Pour moi, il faut le mettre à plat, quoi. Il faut le poser, sinon c'est dangereux.
Pour être très honnête, ce premier bombardement à ma première mission, c'était il y a 20 ans, et ça me poursuit encore aujourd'hui. C'est-à-dire que dès que j'entends un avion, j'ai un mécanisme de réflexe, une espèce de mécanisme de protection, pardon, où maintenant je me jette plus sous une table, mais pendant longtemps, je me jetais par terre, quoi, ou quel que soit l'endroit. Je faisais un remplacement d'une infirmière libérale, je me souviens, entre 2 missions. Et j'étais dans un petit village du nord de la France, il y avait un petit coucou, l'espèce d'aérodrome, et ouais, j'étais avec ma petite valise d'infirmière, il y a cet avion qui passe et je me jette par terre avec ma valise comme ça sur ma tête. Ça dure quelques secondes de me rendre compte que c'est pas du tout adapté à l'environnement. Je me relève, je frotte mes genoux, je frotte mes chaussures, je regarde s'il n'y a personne qui m'a vu et hop, je vais faire mes soins. Les avions, ma famille est au courant, mais tous les autres, personne n'est au courant, quoi. Mon conjoint l'est depuis peu, parce que des fois, j'ai des réactions qui sont effectivement pas très cohérentes avec l'environnement dans lequel je me situe à ce moment-là.
J'ai jamais été dans cette démarche de creuser même pour en savoir plus, même si je suis très curieux. Quand j'ai rencontré Coralie, je ne savais pas ce qu'elle faisait. Donc souvent, quand on se présente, souvent, on dit un petit peu ce qu'on fait dans la vie. Puis là, Coralie, elle me dit, non, moi, je ne te raconte pas, sinon tu vas te sauver en courant. Et je dis, bah, écoute, je veux quand même un petit peu savoir un petit peu de quoi il en retourne. Et là, quand elle a décidé de me raconter, son regard a changé. Ça est devenu un regard très noir, quoi. Ça dégageait vraiment des choses étonnantes. Et là, je me suis dit, Olivier, oula, toi, tu as fait une bêtise là. Tu n'aurais pas dû lui demander. Et là, je me suis dit, oui, sois fort, quoi. Et elle m'a raconté des choses qu'elle a vécues qui dépassent l'entendement, quoi. Et je me suis dit, bon, c'est la première fois que je la vois quand même. J'ai essayé de rester digne. Et alors, j'avais les lèvres qui ne bougeaient pas, qui ne tremblaient pas, hein, mais j'avais les larmes qui giclaient. Tellement ça dépasse l'imagination. Mais je ne me suis pas sauvé en courant.
The first humanitarian assignment is like many other firsts, very different from how it is imagined. And no two assignments are the same. They are all similar, yet different. The first assignment is eagerly anticipated, but also dreaded. Nothing, not the context, not the urgency, not the risks, is ever known for sure in advance. So many uncertainties race through the mind every night before the first departure.
No es miedo, es incertidumbre. Es miedo a lo desconocido, simplemente, pero bueno, no saber qué es lo que va a pasar, dónde vas a vivir, qué vas a comer, si vas a poder trabajar como estás acostumbrado a hacerlo, si vas a ser capaz de hacer bien tu trabajo, si vas a ser suficiente.
Il y en a pour qui ça se passe très très mal, mais c'est souvent très rapide. Quand c'est pas la bonne réflexion, etc., c'est souvent dans les premières semaines, les gens rentrent chez eux.
Mon fils, au début, il a un peu de peine à accepter. Et puis il savait de toute façon que c'était ça depuis longtemps.
La relation de confiance établie entre ma mère et moi, comme je suis fils unique, c'est quelque chose d'assez important. Donc voilà, le dialogue a toujours été présent. On a, pour ainsi dire, quasiment toujours tout partagé.
La première fois que je suis partie, c'était à Haïti, après le tremblement de terre. Et là, quand je l'ai eu au téléphone, en fait, c'était dans l'urgence. Et je lui ai dit, je pars demain. Il m'a dit, non, non, dis-leur que tu peux pas partir. Je lui ai dit, je te demande pas ton avis, je t'informe que je pars demain.
To really work here in Agog is something that took me time to decide. The distance is very far. The situations in the country also is kind of also very tough. So it took me some time to think about it because my family was also very supportive of this. They called me down and they said, really, you have to go and try.
Once you choose to work, it's like you choose to marry. Once you are employed, you'll be taken anywhere to work.
Abama rovia tous betana of tous rutana vena rovia lozo. Doko muni kutendano andra kundeni pa kutemo andrendre. Okodoko mufitinyo kwanzo ko lidriji kuzita uzidu. Ndanara azigesiro. Anzo kunderu losoena ruvo bodu chinia. Agunda kwa ibenanderi lidu chini gina wana azakatabanini cho atraidu nderu opane.
I worked for 3 months. Then I was given an annual leave to go home. So the moment I arrived home, it was a very big surprise to my mom. She was really in shock to see me coming back home, healthy, like completely psychologically stable. She was really very surprised. And from that point, she told me, I don't have anything to say now. I have seen you. And I know that that place you're working in is a very good place.
On a décidé de partir tous ensemble, donc de prendre les valises, les 14 valises ensemble, débarquer à l'aéroport et arriver dans ce nouveau milieu.
J'étais content parce qu'en fait, moi, j'aime bien y aller dans des choses nouvelles. Alors, moi, j'aime bien y aller dans des nouvelles maisons.
On savait qu'ils avaient déjà travaillé en Afrique, fait plein d'expatriations eux-mêmes pour travailler. Mais nous, on n'avait jamais fait d'expatriation. C'était vraiment un choc pour nous.
Les enfants, ils ont résilience, ils ont je sais pas, une capacité de vivre, c'est incroyable. L'intégration, l'adaptation était tout de suite, tous tout de suite avec tout. Après, rester encore une année, c'était un mix d'émotions.
Moi, je l'ai plutôt bien pris parce que j'étais plutôt contente de rester un an de plus pour mes amis. Mais après, j'en avais un peu marre, par exemple, qu'il manque du saucisson ou... Mais sinon, non, j'étais contente parce que c'est une année de plus d'expérience, alors ça va.
The feeling of being useful for one cause or another is something everyone aspires to in the quest to give life meaning. Yet powerlessness is often what is felt too. Powerlessness before the enormity of the task, the sheer scale of the suffering, the absurdity of the world. Before those pained expressions, before the relentless violence of nature. Powerlessness, too, before one's own limited contribution.
Je pense que le doute s'installe après l'action. On n'a pas le droit de douter. Par contre, c'est après qu'on se pose des questions. Et c'est vrai que là, surtout quand on a l'impression d'être impuissante vis-à-vis de certaines situations, il y a le moment de la révolte.
Une mission, ça implique aussi un nombre de circonstances et d'événements où on est dans un désarroi à peu près total. Il faut faire effectivement avec le deuil de la toute-puissance.
Es que sí es duro. Ya lo he vivido aquí y no es nada lindo, pero te tienes que recuperar pronto, porque el siguiente caso tienes que dar todo de ti. Entonces no queda más, tienes que aprender a vivirlo en el momento y encontrar la manera de sacarlo.
Ce sentiment de se dire, mais on n'arrivera pas à changer les choses. Parce qu'on part en pensant qu'on va y arriver. Par contre, qu'on peut faire des différences pour des individus. Ce moment de paix, ce moment de soin qu'on leur a donné, ben c'est déjà ça.
On a peu de levier de pouvoir sur, disons, la situation et le contexte qui a été à l'origine, à la source de la problématique. Donc, il y a quand même aussi une petite vision sparadrap sur une plaie assez béante. On le voit parfois chez des jeunes qui font des premières missions humanitaires, il y a un sentiment de déception parce qu'on a l'impression que notre impact, il n'est pas aussi net et clair que ce qu'on avait rêvé ou imaginé.
It was my first mission in Nagok. I remember doing the cardiac massage for a while, and normally after a few minutes we kind of give up, but because he was young and it was such an intense moment, we just kept going and going. I knew I should have stopped at one point, but I just felt like, no, we keep fighting, like this is what we're here for, like we keep doing it, we can't lose this guy. And I remember Dr. Heller like looking at me and just going like, we should stop. And then I stopped and I walked away from the hospital. This I distinctly remember. I walked away from the hospital and I just cried.
There are people that we think we can help them, but we don't have enough like resources, enough diagnostic tools to help them out. Sometimes we feel bad for that.
Si les gens n'arrivent pas à les soigner ici, on ne pourra rien faire de plus pour eux.
Time isn't the same for those who go away and for those who stay behind. For those who go, it is a time of action, the whirlwind of the mission. For those who stay, time crawls, the days drag slowly by.
Mais le plus dur, c'est avec mon dernier garçon. La dernière fois, c'est quand je devais venir au Sud-Soudan. À la veille de mon départ, il n'a pas dormi. Et je l'ai appelé, je l'ai pris dans mes bras. Et je lui ai dit, en fait, tu sais, comme je te l'avais dit, demain, je dois partir en mission. Et du coup, il s'est mis à pleurer. Il s'est mis réellement à pleurer de mes bras. Il m'a dit, non, papa, je ne veux pas que tu partes. Je veux que tu restes avec nous. Et ça a provoqué vraiment un choc vraiment terrible. Un choc vraiment terrible. Et le matin, quand on s'est réveillé, je pris encore le temps de le lui expliquer, de lui faire comprendre que pour moi, il était nécessaire que je parte, parce que quelque part au bout du monde, il y a des gens vraiment qui ont besoin de moi.
Des fois, je m'inquiète pour eux parce que c'est des zones dangereuses, mais sinon, je peux bien gérer et parce que j'ai toujours un autre parent avec moi et je peux les parler. Mon père, il part très très souvent. Il part souvent pour 3 mois et ma mère, elle reste ici. Ou des fois, ma mère, elle part et mon père aussi. Du coup, c'est mes grands-parents qui viennent me garder. Des fois, quand ils m'appellent pas pendant une semaine, je stresse. Je me suis dit peut-être il est arrivé, qu'il est allé, je sais pas, quelque part et qu'on l'a kidnappé parce que là où mon père y va, il y a beaucoup de kidnapping. Et du coup, j'imagine qu'on l'a kidnappé. Et puis 2 semaines après, il me rappelle et dit « Oh, t'inquiète pas, j'étais juste dans la brousse ».
Most of the time you feel homesick. Sometimes you be alone. You see, you are like someone who is newly married to stay away from her husband, to stay away from her child. I left him like 1 year and 4 months. So it's really very hard for me. Sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night thinking about him or I dream about him. So it's very hard and frustrated.
J'ai pas envie, par mon engagement, de louper des choses. D'être super loin. Ça peut prendre 1 semaine de rentrer parce qu'il n'y a pas d'avion. Ils vont pas affréter un hélicoptère parce que ta mère est décédée. Ils affrètent un hélicoptère parce qu'il y a une urgence humanitaire. Pas sur des trucs personnels, et je peux le comprendre. Mais ça me faisait flipper de me dire je peux louper un truc qui est essentiel dans ma vie.
L'absence, je l'ai moins suivi parce que ma mère a toujours été là. Mais tout le temps, tout le temps, tout le temps. Mon père, dès qu'il était présent, il était là aussi. Donc, il partait, ça faisait un peu peur. Mais ils ont toujours été là quand même.
Je le vis bien parce que j'ai pris l'habitude dès le départ. Et comme je suis entourée avec mes enfants, et que je sais qu'il part pour aider les autres. Donc, je le vis bien.
Ma maman, elle, pour le coup, c'est son mari et il doit partir en mission 1 mois, 2 mois, 2 semaines, ça dépend. Et nous, en tant qu'enfants, je sais que moi, j'ai manqué un peu de ce côté-là, ouais. J'ai besoin qu'il soit là ou à certains moments de mon enfance.
En fait, c'est pas trop dur parce que je communique pas mal avec mes amis, avec ma famille. Je fais même les études avec ma nièce. Tous les dimanches soirs, on fait les études ensemble par Skype, soit en français, soit en anglais.
Ja, ich vermisse sie schon. Also es ist ja meine Tante und meine Gotti und wenn sie nicht im Ausland ist, dann sehen wir uns mega viel, aber wenn sie dann halt gerade im Projekt ist, dann tun wir halt einfach nur auf WhatsApp telefonieren und dann sehe ich sie ein halbes Jahr oder 1 Jahr nicht mehr. Das ist manchmal schon noch schwer.
Ja, sicher. Also fehlt sie, das ist klar. Auch ihre lustige, inspirierende Art, eben die viel Energie, das fehlt natürlich dynamisch schon. Aber für mich ist einfach immer wichtig, dass die Leute einfach glücklich sind mit dem, was sie machen, mit ihrem Berufung, da noch einmal auf das zurückzukommen. Und ja, also ich finde es auch schön, jemanden mal zu vermissen. Das darf ich auch sein.
Humanitarian engagement is about other people. People who are already there, people doing similar work, people who are desperate, people who will never forget, people who judge, who resent humanitarian work, people who wait behind, people who have gone elsewhere or forever, people who couldn't be saved, and all the other chance encounters along the way.
Il y a cette ambiance de fraternité où on arrive à s'amuser ensemble, tout ça. Ça fait oublier en fait un peu la solitude, parfois le dépaysement. Donc ça permet de tenir. Ça permet de tenir.
La vie d'équipe, c'est ça qui fait l'essence de notre engagement humanitaire. À partir du moment où on est une équipe, au-delà du travail, il y a ce cadre, cet espace de vie commune que l'on doit partager.
J'ai découvert des patients et des gens vraiment extraordinaires, et comme patients, et aussi ce brassage de cultures, de gens qui viennent de tous les pays du monde. C'est une dimension qui m'a complètement comblé.
There is conflict inside you because you want to attach and to be close from them, and you don't want to miss them when you will leave. So this kind of conflict will make you suffer. Do I go just through my emotions, or I should stop and build some barriers? But at the final, you will go with your emotion because it's really touchy.
Images play an important part in the lives of humanitarians. Images that leave their mark, images that linger, that persist, images that shape their lives.
Je vois toutes ces images de complexité pour arriver dans certains endroits. Ça va être des moments au Darfour où on met des semaines et des semaines à monter un centre de santé. Et puis, une fois qu'on ouvre la clinique, le village est rasé une semaine plus tard. C'est des images de réfugiés dans les camps palestiniens au Liban qui sont là depuis 60 ans, qui disent on veut y retourner, on veut retourner chez nous, mais qui sont des personnes en fait qui n'y sont jamais allées. Des images d'enfer.
Des images difficiles, des images dures, des images d'enfants qu'on perd, mais aussi des belles images, celles de ces enfants qui sortent de l'hôpital, le sourire jusqu'aux oreilles, en gambadant alors que quelques semaines plus tôt, ils étaient admis dans un état de malnutrition sévère. C'est aussi pour les sourires de ces enfants, les regards de ces mamans apaisées, qu'on trouve l'envie d'y retourner et la force d'y croire encore.
Ben moi, je les garde dans des tiroirs que de temps en temps j'ouvre. Je ne les sens pas comme dans une cocotte minute, mais plutôt dans une armoire. Et que dans des moments dans lesquels je sens la nécessité, j'ouvre le tiroir et je sors ces souvenirs, ces images.
Sur chacune de mes missions, j'ai des histoires magnifiques avec des gens que j'ai rencontrés. Par exemple, au Darfour, je me souviens d'un papa qui est arrivé, donc il y a eu des attaques de Janjaweed sur le camp, et le papa est arrivé avec une brouette avec ses 3 enfants, ses 3 garçons. Je les ai soignés. Il y avait Adam, qui était l'aîné, qui avait voilà, la coiffe des rotateurs, il avait pris une balle dans la coiffe des rotateurs. Et après, il était tout le temps avec moi dans la pharmacie. Je faisais sa rééducation en lui lançant des boîtes de médicaments pour qu'il les rattrape avec voilà, en levant les bras. Et quand je suis partie, ça a été une déchirure terrible.
Ebola, en fait, quand vous arrivez en première ligne, vous gérez des cadavres comme vous n'avez jamais géré, et que vous êtes au moment au déshabillement, eh ben vous avez les lunettes, vous ne pensez à rien, et là vous profitez pour pleurer.
Quand on commence à être fatigué, stressé, oui, il y a des choses qui reviennent. Il y a des choses qui reviennent comme les incidents critiques, ça revient et on n'y peut rien.
Un jour des marchés, voilà, une jeune fille s'est fait exploser et a tué pratiquement une douzaine de personnes qui étaient autour d'elle. Et pour cette personne qui avait cette charge explosive, elle n'est pas décédée, elle a perdu ses 2 membres. De manière consciente et de manière humaine, vous vous dites, cette personne vient d'ôter la vie à une douzaine d'autres. Et vous devez vous battre pour donner la vie à cette personne. Ok, vous avez des problèmes de conscience, mais quand vous sortez du monde hospitalier et que vous rencontrez toute une foule et vous menacez en vous disant, mais vous avez sauvé une personne qui est à l'origine. Et ça, c'est des moments difficiles. Et je pense l'action humanitaire de manière générale, l'engagement que nous pouvons avoir, c'est ce qui nous permet de nous en sortir face à ces événements.
Il y a quand même une thématique qui, entre toutes, me touche plus que tout. Et je pense que c'est aussi une des thématiques qui fait que j'ai toujours eu envie de travailler pour la cause humanitaire, c'est la malnutrition. C'est la faim dans le monde. Je trouve que ça, c'est une idée tout juste insupportable. Aujourd'hui, je ne comprends pas comment on peut encore accepter en fait, qu'il y ait des enfants qui meurent de faim.
On partait le matin, en fait, on était plein de bonne humeur en fait, dans la voiture. Et puis, on ramenait des patientes en fait, sur des camps déplacés en, fait, en dehors de Bounia. Puis j'étais avec les chauffeurs, on se faisait les plaisanteries. Et tout d'un coup, je regarde à l'arrière parce qu'on annonce le départ. Donc on annonce à la radio finalement les passagers. Et en fait, on avait ces trois femmes qui étaient très dignes avec des sortes de sacs plastiques en fait noirs. Et ça ressemblait à un fagot de bois en fait. C'était à peu près cette taille-là. Et là, en fait, je réalise en fait que c'est pas des fagots de bois, mais en fait, elles ramènent leurs enfants qui sont morts en fait. Ce moment-là de passer de ce côté un peu badin, on va dire, on discutait comme ça, et puis tout d'un coup de se rendre compte en fait de l'énormité de ce qui se passe dans ce véhicule, on se sent très con en fait.
Let them know or surprise them. The return is never improvised. It's a special moment for those who go away, and for those who stay behind, it's the long-awaited end of an absence. There may be laughter or tears. The return is a time of reunion, but also, for some, a shock. Two worlds collide. The one they leave and the one they go back to, and they never merge. The clash can be brutal. The focus suddenly shifts to other priorities.
Nous, on passe quand même notre vie à regarder les besoins des autres. On vit dans un monde où ça paraît un truc complètement absurde et où chacun s'occupe de ses propres besoins. Quand on rentre et qu'on se rend compte que personne n'en a rien à foutre de tes besoins à toi, c'est un dur retour de manivelle.
C'est pas toujours facile, ni de revenir, ni de se réinsérer, ni de retrouver de l'intérêt aux choses qu'on fait. Voilà. Après, c'est tout un équilibre. On retrouve autre chose, mais c'est vrai qu'on a vraiment le sentiment de perte, peut-être d'être aussi incompris ou mal compris. Il se passe pas mal de choses. Mais puis après, c'est un apprentissage, c'est de la rééducation aussi de se réinsérer quelque part.
Quand je suis de retour, je revis une autre vie physique qui n'est plus la vie physique du terrain. Et le terrain reste en moi de manière dans l'esprit pour des semaines et des semaines.
Je dirais que c'est à peu de choses près, c'est un jour comme les autres. Bien sûr, il y a toujours cet engouement de retrouver la personne, bien sûr. Mais après, pour lui, c'est lui laisser le temps d'arriver, d'atterrir. Et puis c'est un moment où on est plus, je dirais, un peu plus calme que d'habitude. Et puis on essaie de gentiment se reposer et puis pour repartir sur les jours suivants, quoi.
Avant qu'il n'arrive, on est tous inquiets. On se dit, on espère qu'il va rentrer quand même. Parce qu'on sait que là où il va, c'est des endroits très risqués. On attend avec inquiétude son retour.
Un jour de retour, c'est maman qui est assez stressée parce qu'il dit toujours 1 heure et il arrive toujours un peu plus tard. Donc voilà, c'est toujours une journée, on va dire, un peu stressée avant qu'il arrive. Mais une fois qu'il arrive, voilà, tout le monde est content.
On ne sait jamais exactement quel jour, quelle heure on rentre. Et donc le jour du retour, c'est un peu toujours un jour de surprise. Et du coup, un jour de fête quand la porte s'ouvre ou quand on est à la sortie de l'école.
J'étais très, très inquiète pour ma sœur et pour nous, en fait, pour notre relation. Il y a eu des moments, j'étais presque à me dire, bon, ben, en fait, j'ai perdu ma sœur, quoi. Mais en fait, pas du tout. Hein. Je n'avais juste pas compris que c'était les émotions qu'elle vivait là-bas qui mettaient en fait une espèce de barrière momentanée quand elle revenait.
I think it's the hardest part because when you come to a project, yeah, you go to a different country, very different culture, maybe you think it's difficult, but you go with a mission, you go with an objective, and the others are there, the same objective. So it's easier to connect and you're not left alone. When you go back to your family, to your friends, etc. Yes, 1 day, 1 week, then later on you're left, literally you're left alone. Then you need to find your way again. It's not the same.
Parfois, j'ai l'impression que j'ai 2 personnalités ou 2 côtés de moi-même. Et une côté veut vraiment rester avec eux, de profiter d'être ensemble, de faire des trucs ensemble, mais l'autre côté veut toujours partir.
Everyone needs to find a job that is life-filling and which you really do by heart. It will be not her way to stay in one town and have like a regular job because she is like a bird. I know that she's much more happy being away than being here in Germany. Unfortunately, she likes to be with her friends and she likes to be with me, I think. But her real passion is the mission.
Should I talk about it? Keep it to myself? Draw or write? After each mission, the same questions arise: what to say and to whom. There are those who want to share everything, every detail, every second. Some who are unable to express what they have experienced. Some who already made the decision not to share everything before they left. Some who will talk about it, but later. Some who would rather not hear about it. Some who write to tell the story, bear witness, exercise themselves. There are also those who, selfishly, keep the unspeakable to themselves.
Échanger les expériences qu'on a vécues dans ces pays avec les amis, avec la famille, c'est très difficile. Parce que personne ne te comprend, parce qu'on a vécu quand même des moments très forts qu'on n'arrive peut-être même pas à s'exprimer. On a envie de parler avec les gens qui connaissent pas du tout, qui n'étaient jamais dans ce pays, qui n'ont jamais vu quelqu'un en train de mourir. C'est très difficile.
Je préfère garder l'intimité de la souffrance, mais je n'irai pas dire que j'ai vu des gens manger de la terre, parce qu'il n'y avait rien à manger. J'ai vu une maman mélanger la boue avec un peu d'eau qu'on avait et donner à son enfant. Et ça, pour moi, c'est marquant. Je ne peux pas le raconter à ma femme.
Quand je suis allée au Rwanda en 94, ma sœur était au courant, mais pas ma mère. Quand elle regardait la télévision, elle disait à ma sœur « Heureusement que Françoise n'est pas au Rwanda ».
Je raconte tout à des personnes différentes. Donc, il y a certaines choses que j'ai dit à ma famille, des autres choses que j'ai dit à ma compagne, des autres choses à mes collègues de travail.
Pour moi, c'était une expérience tellement forte que je voulais, d'une quelque manière, la fixer. Et il y a un côté thérapeutique pour moi, parce que je ne réussis pas à raconter tout au téléphone
à Paola ou aux enfants.
Au début, il nous envoyait la lettre, il l'a envoyée à moi et aux enfants. Et puis, on l'a envoyé aux copains, aux amis plus proches. Puis, bon, la voix un peu arrivée qu'il faisait cette lettre. Donc, à la fin, pas mal de monde a reçu cette lettre. Et ils étaient tous très touchés du récit de Raphaël.
On reçoit des sensations et on reçoit des nouvelles qui sont négatifs. De l'autre part, un sentiment qui est positif parce qu'on voit la capacité des personnes de travailler, de résoudre des problèmes, d'affronter la souffrance.
Je sais qu'il y a plein de choses que je garde très, très personnelles et profondément ancrées et avec qui je ne peux pas vraiment discuter avec beaucoup de personnes. Tu vis avec et puis tu gères.
On voulait vous réunir parce qu'on a malheureusement une très mauvaise nouvelle à vous annoncer. C'est que la nuit dernière, nous avons admis dans le CTE un de nos collègues, infirmier. Il était admis ici, il était malade, il était dans un état de santé déjà très avancé. Il a été pris en charge et malheureusement, il est décédé ce matin. Donc, on apprend maintenant que notre collègue, Jacques, est décédé de Ebola. Je sais que c'est toujours des moments très difficiles, mais il faut qu'on soit tous solidaires.
La maison, c'est un havre de paix. Alors reprendre les histoires un peu difficiles, les challenges du terrain.
C'est toi qui l'as arrêté,
Il n'est jamais très précis sur ce qu'il voit. Je pense que c'est pour nous protéger. Mais c'est vrai que parfois, au repas de famille, par exemple, il raconte des petites histoires et au fur et des années, je les assemble en fait et je me retrace un peu l'histoire dans ma tête. Quand je découvre un peu toutes ces histoires, je me découvre un peu moi aussi.
Je garde beaucoup, je crois. Je pense que mes enfants me reprochent ça. Quand j'arrive à la maison, je tourne un peu la page, puis j'ai l'impression que je vais les embêter avec certains trucs. Non, je ne parle pas beaucoup de ce que je vis là-bas. Pourtant, je devrais le faire plus.
Donc longtemps, la blague, c'est que quand je rentrais, parce que j'ai fait beaucoup de missions en République démocratique du Congo, mes parents me demandaient si ça s'est passé comment. Il a fait super beau. Beau temps, gros soleil. Parce que si je leur expliquais ce qui s'était passé, ça les inquiétait, puis après ça, il aurait fallu que je déploie toutes sortes d'arguments pour la prochaine fois.
Quand on me demande comment ça va, comment c'était ta mission, je ne sais jamais si la personne veut une réponse de 1 minute, de 10 minutes ou d'1 heure, parce que je peux faire les 3. Il y a des gens qui s'en foutent.
Ouais.
Donc pour moi, c'est...
J'ai déjà remarqué ça.
Oui.
Un peu à ma grande surprise. Mais j'ai déjà remarqué ça, c'est vrai. Où on te pose une question, puis on te coupe la parole, on tourne la tête, on passe complètement autre chose. Et toi, tu gères ça super bien. Tu dis, OK, ça va, c'est bon, c'est fini. OK, on passe à autre chose.
Voilà.
C'est pas grave. De toute façon, en fait, tu ne ressens pas spécialement le besoin de toujours tout partager à tout le monde avec la même profondeur, quoi.
Au début, c'était très dur, mais en fait, je crois petit à petit, c'est vraiment trouver ce qui... Je sais quoi, en fait, je sais qu'une telle personne va plus être intéressée de savoir ce que j'ai mangé, une autre personne va plus être intéressée de savoir quel temps il faisait, mais c'est pas drôle, c'est la vérité. Une autre personne va plus être intéressée par vraiment comment j'ai vécu ou comment j'ai ressenti les choses.
Je crois que l'idée de revenir d'une mission en se disant je vais pouvoir raconter, je vais pouvoir tout faire passer, c'est impossible. Ouais, c'est juste impossible.
Humanitarian work is a subject for reflection. It's also a sensitive subject whereby, in certain situations, altruism and selfishness can be found side by side.
Oui, ça fait partie aussi de ces extrêmes qu'on doit gérer dans notre vie. C'est de avoir d'un côté certains qui nous disent « Ah, c'est génial ce que tu fais, c'est magnifique, etc. » Et de l'autre côté, quelqu'un qui te dit « C'est complètement égoïste, tu pourrais le faire d'ailleurs chez toi. »
Égoïste pour qui? Égoïste pour elle, égoïste pour la famille. Oui, c'est égoïste pour elle en ce sens que oui, elle décide, c'est moi, j'ai envie de faire ça et pas autre chose. Donc c'est vrai que c'est un peu égoïste par rapport à ce qu'elle peut donner à sa famille. Égoïste pour nous, ce serait égoïste de l'empêcher de faire ce qu'elle a envie de faire.
Et donc, on fait tous des classements dans nos valeurs et on essaie tous de créer du sens dans sa vie. Ici, ton sens est tellement extrême qu'il laisse peu de place pour le sens des autres. Et dans ce sens-là, tu es égoïste. Ouais. C'est comme moi, quand je travaille de 7h30 jusqu'à 20h, 5 jours semaine, je fais un choix. Et alors, il est encore largement moins que toi, parce que si moi je suis absent, toi, tu es méga absent. C'est encore un niveau de valeur supérieur au mien, tu vois, mais il est tellement fort qu'il laisse de place à rien autour. Il crée un désert autour de toi. Et il faut un sacré ego et un sacré égoïsme pour arriver à vivre en sachant qu'il y a un désert autour de toi. Voilà, moi, c'est ça qui fait que je trouve que c'est remarquable cette vie et que je comprends qu'à un moment donné, comme tu le fais là maintenant, parfois, tu as besoin de faire un petit jardin. Quoi. Parce que le désert, à un moment donné, on en a marre de le voir.
Egoism. Could we consider what we do as egoist? Yeah, I think maybe not the first missioners, second missioners, but a little bit more experience. You get into this habit, you get into this way of life, way of thinking.
Tu as toujours une petite partie d'intérêt personnel dans ce que tu fais, heureusement, parce que c'est justement ça qui donne le boost pour le faire. Donc moi, égoïste, c'est provocateur, mais je trouve que ça colle pas en fait avec l'humanitaire. Il faut avoir une vocation, la foi, avoir envie de donner, risquer sa vie. C'est un peu d'abandon, quoi. C'est là où ça peut être un peu délicat. On vit bien avec une humanitaire. J'ai été séduit par ça.
C'est une décision personnelle qu'on prend. On laisse nos familles, on laisse nos amis, on laisse nos activités sur place et ce serait égoïste de la part de nos amis, de nos parents, de ne pas nous laisser aller, apporter aussi de la joie à d'autres personnes.
Il y a un certain côté égoïste où je veux qu'elle reste avec moi parce que, voilà, c'est ma maman. Mais en grandissant, on oublie un peu ça et on se dit peut-être que les gens ont plus besoin d'elle que moi j'ai besoin d'elle.
On peut penser que c'est égoïste parce que ils sont prêts à lâcher la famille. Même si on est malade, ils partent quand même, quoi. C'est plus fort qu'eux. Mais en même temps, ils sont tellement animés par cette mission de vie ou de mort. Du coup, je peux pas appeler ça égoïste.
De faire vivre cette expérience à nos enfants qui n'ont rien demandé, qui auraient aimé peut-être rester à la maison et continuer à vivre avec leurs copains, avec leurs grands-parents. Non, on les arrache de ce milieu-là et on les amène ici, dans ce milieu qu'ils ne connaissent pas, et avec tous les risques que ça comprend.
There's a lot of my friends who were describing me crazy when I used to go to some war zones because I was thinking about others before thinking about myself. And actually, like, if you do believe, it's part of your personality. If you do believe about what you are doing, most of the time you forget yourself.
C'est vrai que c'est super égoïste parce que c'est un accomplissement pour moi. J'ai eu beaucoup de questionnements, entre autres après des événements un peu compliqués au Tchad, où je me suis demandé si j'avais le droit d'imposer à mes proches le danger.
Il m'est arrivé de me retrouver justement en partant dans une chambre glauque le soir après une journée de voyage et vraiment de me poser la question, de me réinterroger, mais pourquoi je suis là? Pour ma fille qui était plus petite, je pense que c'était plus compliqué. Et elle, justement, à plein de reprises, m'a dit « Moi, quand j'aurai des enfants, je m'en occuperai. » Et ce qui est le plus déroutant, c'est qu'au bout de 2 jours, vous êtes dans l'activité folle, en fait, des projets et de ce pourquoi vous êtes là, dans cette quête de sens, et que tout ça s'envole. C'est pas que vous oubliez vos enfants, votre conjoint, votre famille, c'est que tout à coup, vous êtes à nouveau dans le palpitant, en fait, dans ce qui nous anime tous et dans ce qui fait que je suis prête à faire ces concessions-là.
From the decision to engage to the end of a mission, emotions, and encounters experienced along the way. For some, it's a single assignment. For others, a lifelong commitment. When this film is over, the journey will continue for as long as the world stays as it is, instead of becoming what it could be.
I'm sure after you have watched the movie, you form your own conclusions as to whether the people who share their experiences, are they selfish or are they magnanimous? Well, as we look through journey of life, we see different situations. We have to make a lot of decisions. Sometimes those decisions may not make sense to people around you. So when Lim Chin Siah say, I'm going away for 9 months, I say, where are you going? So to me, I don't understand why he's doing that. And ever since having joined us mission, I think way back 2007. So ever since then, Chin Siah told us that he got hooked to mission. But I didn't know he was that hooked to mission, you know? And when I see you, you're a young, shaven, young doctor. So as I see you now, we have grown beard and I've lost hair. So we have come many years and you have made your decisions. We would like to invite Sarah Patrick to describe and introduce Dr. Lim Chin Siah, who will be next online to speak to us.
Thank you so much. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed that movie and, you know, thought a lot about it as well. I think all of you probably, you know, most of you here have done your missions. You think about, you know, your reasons why you do what you do. And yeah, there was just a little, you know, other perspectives that were shared. And before I introduce Dr. Lim and we find out what his, you know, his decisions and, you know, his reflections on his own stories and his experiences in the field with Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, I'd like to introduce our organization a little bit more. Firstly, hi, I'm Sarah. I am the communications liaison for Médecins Sans Frontières, MSF, or Doctors Without Borders in Singapore. And I'd like to do a little sharing of our organization. I'm not sure how many of you know, maybe you've probably heard here and there about MSF, but I don't know how much you know about MSF. So in Singapore, we joke a lot because we have another MSF, and that's the Ministry of Social and Family Development. So when I do my work and I tell people, oh, I work with MSF, they're like, oh, you work with the ministry? And I have to tell them, no, not quite. I work with Doctors Without Borders, which is a whole other thing. Yeah, so we are Médecins Sans Frontières. We're an international independent medical humanitarian aid organization. MSF was created in the belief that everyone should have access to healthcare, regardless of your background, your political affiliation, your race, and all of that. We're founded by a group of not just doctors, but also journalists. So we were founded, as mentioned, in 1971 in Paris by a group of journalists and doctors. And today we are now a worldwide movement made up of tens of thousands of healthcare professionals, not just medical professionals, but also non-medical professionals, logisticians, supply experts, and also administrative and finance staff, bound together by passion to help people in need. And in 1999, we were a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of our humanitarian work in several continents. So just to share a bit more of what we do and in what context. So we provide free quality medical assistance to people affected by war and conflict, epidemics, and more recently pandemic, natural disasters, and also those who are excluded from healthcare. So mainly refugees, migrants and refugees. So there's this saying of MSF where we're first in and last out. And why we say that is because we were able to respond fast, and only because we have our own supply and logistics team and chain. And so we can deliver supplies and deploy our teams anywhere in the world within 72 hours. So this is where we work in the world. As you can see on the map, we provide aid in over 70 countries today. So with regards to our funding and where we get our funding and donations, we're very transparent about this as well, and you can find it all over, online in our website and our financial reports. So in 2021, over 97% of our income came from almost 7 million individuals worldwide, and also private foundations. And through very kind and generous funding, we're able to pay for millions of consultations, surgeries, treatments, and vaccinations every year. What else do we do apart what I've shared? We also have this initiative called the DNDI, or Drugs for Neglected Diseases Initiative, which is a collaborative, needs-driven, non-profit drug research and development, so R&D organization that helps with developing new treatments for neglected diseases. So neglected diseases such as tuberculosis, hepatitis C, and even methanol poisoning is something that we're talking about a lot more, especially with Médecins Sans Frontières in Hong Kong, which is one of our medical dossiers. And also we have MSF Access campaign, where we advocate for effective drugs, tests, vaccines, and try to push, the prices down, make it more affordable to more people. So a snapshot of the kind of work that we did in 2021. So we had over 12 million outpatient consultations, assisted in over 300,000 births, mental health consultations as well, which is something that we've been doing a lot more often and have placed quite a lot of importance, over almost 400,000 individual mental health consultations, over 100,000 major surgical interventions, over 2 million cases of malaria treated, and also over 600,000 families we shared and we provided relief items to. So as I mentioned earlier, even though we're called Doctors Without Borders, I think many people think that only doctors work for our organization, but actually we have a 50-50 ratio. So 50% of our staff are medical professionals and another 50% are non-medical professionals. And I think, Dr. Lim has shared quite often where, really when the non-medical staff are the ones who are really working behind the scenes, and when things are going well during the projects and the missions, that's when, they're really working hard behind the scenes. So we have medical professionals as part of our workforce, like surgeons, psychologists, nurses, pharmacists, even epidemiologists and midwives, and also non-medical staff like logisticians, engineers, water sanitation experts, and also HR, finance, administrative staff as well. And that's all from me, and we have some time for questions after. So if you have any questions about our organization, feel free to ask me. But now I'm very, very excited to introduce Dr. Lim Chin Siah, who'll be sharing his experience with MSF over the past, how many years now? Almost 10 years. There you go. Very good.
Where do I stand? Here? Okay. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous because I know all of you over here. I thought it would be to the public and I'd be more comfortable because all of you know me from all these years, and I also know all of you. Actually, we could have just done this over dinner or something. Okay, chit chat, a bit easier. Yeah, but yeah. So I will share some of my experiences. These are my slides from previous presentations. So there's a lot of slides, 100 over slides. So I'll go through very quickly some pictures and just talk about it. Yeah. So yes, I have to say this. I have to start by recipient, this one. It was back in Batam, Indonesia, 2007. All the way then. Yes, the picture, like what Edwin said, at the time, no beard, no facial hair. Yeah. At the time, I came to Tzu Chi because of one of my dentist friends, Dr. Anthony Che. Yeah, so it was my introduction to humanitarian mission work. And then, like what Dr. Tang said, after that I was addicted. Next year again, we come. It's Tzu Chi in Batam. Yes, also did some pictures over here. Dr. Daphne, Dr. Siuni, myself, my good friend Dr. Sen Yang. And one thing I learned very quickly from Tzu Chi is the picture of all of us putting the medicine. This is something which I never thought I would be doing. I'm sure Prof. Fong will also know, before every mission, the night before, there's a pharmacy list. I was thinking, there's a pharmacy, what? Why must you do this? No, do it together, do it all together. Fill the medicine, put the cream in a small tub, fill all the cough syrup, count the medicine in the things and put it all together. So I was thinking, wow, okay, this is quite serious. I do this. Yeah, so this is something I learned from Tzu Chi. We have to work as a team and with a common purpose. I showed this picture. Actually, this picture here, I see Lai Ho is there, Suni is there, some of my colleagues. I show this picture, why? Because actually at work, these are all my colleagues at SGH, by the way, last time, all back in 2007, long time ago. At work, we see each other every day. We never talk about, oh, I go to him, I do mission work. They're also humble. And so I said, hey, I saw Lai Ho, what are you doing here? Hey, Chi Chong, what are you doing here? Hey, you're also here for a mission like this. So I think they're all very humble and we see each other at work every day. They never mention about this. Also, Mr. Chu, Mingtek, I was on MO also. Last time I was his MO in Tan Tock Seng in the surgical team. It's hard to find him. He's a very busy man, always in the OT. And I was the MO, was also working under his team. And also he never mentioned, when I saw him in Sri Lanka, in Tzu Chi, every day, more than I ever seen him every time whenever I did my rounds with him, or that he was not around. So one thing about this, I think all of us have this common purpose with good intention to do all these humanitarian works in our own capacity. But we're all very humble, very humble actually. So I learned from all of you, actually, yeah. So yes, my colleagues and Mr. Chu, which I didn't at work he never mentioned. I went to Sri Lanka last year. I worked with Tzu Chi and I'll do a free clinic. Only when we do it at the same time, then we meet. We have a common purpose. My first international mission, Dr. Tang, Dr. Ong, the time we went to Kenya. Eugene, you remember this? Your hair the same last time. It's the same. It's the same. Yeah, so yes, like what Dr. Tang said, I was addicted and it was maybe a bit selfish because it was also very fun. We had a good team of people. And it was also make ourselves feel good and help the community at the time. But over time, as I got more senior in my career and doing more humanitarian work, I think it's not entirely altruistic. We're not like Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa, or we give 100%. We also receive something in return. But hopefully when you do more missions, you would be giving more than you receive eventually over time. Yeah. So this was my first foray international mission in Africa. With MSF, I've been there for almost 10 years already. I've never been to Africa for a mission. So this is very memorable for me. Yes, so this is in 2008, a long time ago. And nowadays, with Dr. Ong, sometimes doing mission with the humanitarian we love. Yeah, so over the years, this is Dr. Ong in Myanmar last time. And yes, also a bunch of like-minded people with a common purpose of doing mission work. And it's all born from the Tzu Chi group of people, like all of you. We're going to Laos next year in February, whoever was interested to join. And now, also a long time, and I'm also with MSF since 2013. And yes, I just came back from Afghanistan last week. I went back to Malaysia to do my civic duty, and then I'm back to see all of you here. Yeah, so I'll just share some stories about the pictures here. Like I said, I got many pictures, it's recycled. I'll just go through very quickly. And a disclaimer is that whatever I say here is my own opinion. It's not MSF's opinion. Because sometimes where we work, like Ukraine or in Afghanistan, Yemen, it's quite political and yeah, it's very complicated every time. So whatever I say here, I apologize, it's my own opinion. Recently, yeah, I was in MSF in this place called in Boost Hospital in Lashkargah, Helmand. It's a Kandahar. I was there for almost 5 to 6 months. My role there was the ER and ICU doctor. As you can see, these are all the MSF projects in Afghanistan. Kandahar, Lashkargah, Herat, Kunduz, Kabul, and Khost. I was in Lashkargah in the southeast. I'll just go very quickly. This is Boost Hospital. This project has been there for almost 10 years in Afghanistan. When MSF first went there, they only had a small hospital doing surgery. But over time, over the past 10 years, they expanded very large hospital now with maternity services, ONG services, with the ER, with the ICU, with the pediatric ICU, with the neonatal ICU. It's a monster of a project. So when I went there, like it's just like I'm the ER ICU doctor. I'm there to do some work. So to integrate with the already existing project there. It's very challenging. It's a big project. And when I went there at the time, it was just after the Taliban took over. So the Taliban uses Twitter like this. They were very happy that we were first in. We are the first foreigners in to Afghanistan at that time. It's happened after they took over the place. Yeah, so this is why also, I like to work with MSF, because sometimes it feels that we are the only ones in place where there's a need. And it feels quite proud. We are quite proud that we were the first in. And this is one of the Taliban's Twitter account that they welcome foreigners coming in at the time. So that's our plane landing from Tajikistan to Shambe. And yeah, so we landed. Actually, it's not so dramatic. Actually, basically, the project's been ongoing, and the team that was there couldn't leave because of all the fighting and all that. It was very intense. So when the fighting stopped, the Taliban took over. It was a bit more safe. The team left, and we took over the team because they were very tired, of course. And so we just resume work over there. Yeah, so some pictures. This is in the ER of the hospital. The ER, we see about, actually it's a lot of patients. We see about 1,000 patients every day in the ER. But because of the sheer number of patients, we only see the serious cases. So it's hard to turn away all your cough and cold and flu, the small fracture. We have to turn them away. It's very difficult, but it's operational, and it's hard to take in everybody. Afghanistan is very dire. It's safer now. It's safer now. If you talk to all the local staff, they're happier. Happier in the sense that when they go to work from their house to the hospital, they can ride a bicycle, they can go for breakfast, have a coffee or tea, and go to work. Because there's no more fighting, no roadblocks. The Taliban or the IEA, they ensure this sort of safety. So they're happy for them to go to work. But also with this safety and road access all cleared, many people from the surrounding regions come to hospital. That's why we have 1,000 plus patients. It's quite overwhelming. It's very overwhelming. And also we made the decision to not treat, we have to refer away the patients who are more minor patients, what we call the green cases. We only take the red serious cases or the yellow cases. And where do we refer the green patients to? We refer to the local NGOs, some small clinics. But as time goes by, as you know, Afghanistan, there's no funding from the World Bank and all this. So there's no money for the healthcare over there. So it's getting very difficult, and it's quite conflicted. We would like to see everybody, but we cannot. We can't, yeah. I have no answer. I'm just thinking about this. It's very difficult about this, but it's still very busy. This is a neonatal ICU. I'm not sure you can see, but each bed has about 2 babies. It's not enough beds. It's crazy, it's not enough bed. And this is the COVID time. You know, Singapore, wow, you know, we say safe entry, hospital, 1 visitor. Over here, 2 people, 1 bed. No choice. There's really no space. There's no choice. Yeah, it was very overwhelming. This is the pediatric ICU. You can see 2 patients, 1 bed over there. Sometimes you can even put 3 patients in 1 bed. Oh, sorry, this one is just a few picture. This one, the babies. This hospital, every day we have 100 deliveries. 100. So I mean, I work in the ER and the adults ICU. My maternity, my neonatal pediatrician colleague and my gynecology colleague, really, very busy. Really busy. Every day, 100 deliveries like this every day. You even got triplets also. So I mean, thinking about the Afghanistan situation for the future, every day 100 births. In 10 years, there'll be, or maybe in 15 years, there'll be teenagers and almost adults already. They have no job, no education, no schooling. It's going to be very difficult, very messy. Yeah, just thinking about it. This was in the ER. This child was just left behind. I don't know why. We cannot speculate. I don't know. A lot of the local staff say the family cannot afford to feed the child, or is it a child from an illegitimate husband or whatever. A lot of theories, but the fact of the matter is that this child is left alone in the hospital here. This is very common in the hospital. Also, it's very difficult to treat. There's no SOP protocol for this. We always like to say that if you allow one, more will come. So how am I going to take care of this child? I mean, we have to take care lah. Shannon, go to ICU. Yeah, the pediatric ICU, not my problem. These are my pediatric colleagues' problem. but still, yeah, it's a very busy place. This picture, also in the ER, it's an old lady. That's all her family members. Our hospital is big. We have a big team of people working, a lot of specialists working. But sometimes you can't treat everything. This patient has cancer, or what we think is cancer, at least. So we cannot admit her to the hospital. It's part of the criteria, protocol. We cannot let our hospital be taken up by these palliative patients. So that's the limit, but it's very difficult for the family. So as you can see, there's a big oxygen tank over there, oxygen, that, not ours, is bought from the market after 1 hour. And they have to find a taxi or car to bring this tank to the hospital. And later they have to find another taxi or van to bring this patient. They say, I'm going to bring to Pakistan. It's near the border, to Quetta. Or maybe Iran, to the west. So I don't know how to help this one. But yeah, so there's a limit of what we can do. But the sense of community with the people there are very close. If somebody gets sick, they activate all the family members. They all come, they all try to help as much as they can. But there's a limit to what we can do in this hospital. This is a quite interesting photo. Not taken by me, by one of my local colleagues. That's Dr. Azmi. He's in the ER room there. That's the patient. Inside the box is not your Grab delivery food. It's actually 3 babies inside. So this villager traveled a long way on the safe road. There's access to healthcare, but they just put it in the box, the 3 premature babies inside to us. Actually, this picture, my doctor was scolding the patient. What are you doing? What is this? Go away. He didn't check the box. Actually, I also didn't check. I also think she's crazy. Actually, and one of the nurses went and looked inside. Oh my God, you see 3 babies inside there. So yeah, it's good in a way that there's the access to healthcare is a bit better. Roads are safer, thanks to the Taliban. But our hospital is bursting, already bursting. Also, as Lee Wai, our nurse from MSF, would know, as part of our job is always doing training. We have to train and the local staff. So this is one of the sessions that we will do for the local staff. There was this is actually this a picture from the Twitter picture. I stole it just to show that there was there was a bomb blast nearby, and this is how we get blood from the community at the mosque. people would just come forth and donate blood for the hospital. This one just to show that on all MSF projects is free for everybody, and also no weapons policy, which sometimes is quite hard to enforce this actually. Finish already. For this one. So for my last project, I was very tired. It was a very difficult mission. Although it was safe, there was no like bombings or that. I mean, it was safe, but the work was quite overwhelming. And this project is still ongoing. Maybe hopefully you can go back, and hopefully you get bigger hospital. But as you know, bigger hospital, more people will come. So let the operational people think about this. But it's quite a dire situation in Afghanistan now. This one was I was also in Kunduz, Afghanistan, another project. This was a while back, maybe 2016, long time ago. This is one of my favorite missions because the whole hospital is all MSF. It's all vertical, meaning from the A&E ER, the surgeons, anesthetists, the ICU, the physio for rehab, war wounded rehab. Everything is MSF, so no interference. So in a way, we were quite independent. And it shows. So this is an ICU. Like what Sarah would say, MSF is not only for doctors, or those doctors without borders. Actually, as a doctor, it's an easy job. I'm sure Dr. Prof. Fong also will know. It's an easy job. We just go there, appear, and do our work. But in the back end, the logisticians, the supply managers and pharmacy, everybody have to actually do more work than us actually. So they're very creative. You can see this is our ICU bed, and you can see the container. This is actually, you use a container for the ICU with ventilators. I don't know anywhere Afghanistan has ventilators. So good job for the logisticians and the supply team to bring good ventilators to Afghanistan at the time. This is an example of the ICU in a container. Got aircon some more and heater for the winter. Also patient food. My God. I mean, for each patient hospital, MSF, we have a kitchen. We hire the staff, a cook and all these things. And they're given food for the patient and the family as well. One of our local colleagues working outside. This picture. This is Dr. Maruf. He's a local. He's from Kunduz. The patient there is a Taliban. At that time, I think a few years back, there was a lot of fighting between Taliban. It's very complicated. So there's a lot of intense fighting and all these things. And then in the Kunduz was one of the hot zones. And Dr. Maruf is from Kunduz. He lives there all his life. The fact that he can treat the Taliban on the bed like that as a patient, I think I'm not sure I can do that. I think it's from inside, it's very strong that he can do this, from the heart. Imagine your whole life, your family's been terrorized, your property damaged, by all these Taliban roadblocks to go to school, to makan or something like that. Then in the bed down there, suddenly got one of these people. You have to treat them. And I think it's very big of him. I'm not sure if I can do that. I don't know. For us, we fly in there, we work for a few months, then we go off. No feeling that we are from there, no enemies. Sort of. Well, this guy has been living there his whole life. He knows what's it like. He knows the enemy, and he's able to treat them in like this as a doctor and a patient. Same with this picture. Again, that picture there, on the bed is one of the Taliban fighters. The guy emptying his urine bag, or that is his brother. I mean, I don't know, it's like these guys, you read in news, they're all the bad guy, all these things, but actually, after all, they're still human beings. They still, as a patient, they still have to pee, shit, and with family members to take care of you in the ICU. Again, for me, I go there and see, oh, this is very nice. But you think back about it, I mean, it's real. It's because she's just human beings and they still have all these family members to help them. Not say we only treat Taliban in hospital, we treat everybody. Okay, everyone comes through our doors, we will treat them. All right. Almost every day we have mass casualties, like some fighting, and a lot of people come in the hospital at one time, so we have to prepare for these mass casualties. And this is one example of it. Sorry, I move on a bit faster. This, yeah, this one. I'll show you this. This one is the dog, Chopi. It's the house dog, and where we stay in the house, which is near the hospital. One day, Chopi was found on the floor, like drooling a bit, like not moving, not eating much, not barking. And we think, oh my God, what happened to Chopi? So we also had to treat dogs also. We are MSF. Yeah, we get it. Patient no X-ray. X-ray for dogs, so we do. I don't know what to see here, but luckily, Chopi, before the surgeon will operate on Chopi or do endoscopy, the bone came out, so he was fine. So yes, but we were ready to treat Chopi. Recently, I was in Kabul also. Recently, before I came back, I was in Kabul for the debrief and all that. And Chopi is in Kabul. After the bombing, Chopi was alive and he's still in Kabul. This one, this picture. This is my picture. I took this picture. I will never forget this. So after the mission, 6 weeks, I was planned to leave 6 weeks before my brother's wedding. I missed my brother's wedding. 6 weeks buffer because of all these flight issues and all that. So I was at the airport. The plane landed already like this. I can just go home. But someone said, the guy over there said, oh, you heard a bullet. Oh my God. And the plane had to fly off without me. So I couldn't leave to go home. Okay, that's fine, but that's the first time. But after that, it delayed until 6 weeks. So I missed my brother's wedding. So I stayed extra over there for almost 2 months. Yeah, so in the field, I mean, I'm hardly angry, but this time I was quite angry. I was thinking, what's happening? I want to go back to my brother's wedding. Why can't you fly me? But actually, it's not up to me. Yeah, so it's quite, yeah. So as you can see, it's a Red Cross plane. So access to Afghanistan is very limited. We use MSF plane, Red Cross planes, UN planes, and there's a schedule. But of course, sometimes the weather and all these unforeseen circumstances that can hinder you. So sometimes when I talk to my friends, some doctor colleagues who want to try MSF, they tell me what to prepare. I say prepare for the unexpected. Basically, you can't go home lah, basically, sometimes. So this is yeah. Anyway, yeah, so this is a memorable thing for me. I was lucky when I was there. The logisticians and the engineers, there were engineers there, they built a new ICU from container to a nice ICU like this, a building, as you can see. It's actually with the 4 beds there. That's he's moving the ventilator from the container to the ICU. And that's our first patient in the ICU. So I was very honored and privileged to have this transition. I was there at the time. It was nice to see this transition. Then this happened, as you all know, in 2015 October. Actually, about 3 months or so after I left, this happened. The hospital was bombed. You see this room? It's exactly the same as the one before. The new ICU, the corner there with the bed. Oh, I was very sad, very shocked to see this that was bombed. There, the same corner, all the beds, all wasted. And these are our 14 colleagues who died that night. These are all my friends at the time. Usually, the night shift, only 1 doctor and maybe 2 or 3 nurses. But on that particular night, it was very busy. And the doctors came back to help because they live nearby. And then it will be the last shift. So after this, it was it made me realize that actually working in the field like that is quite dangerous. I mean, the hospital is targeted. Whatever you read or whatever the theory is, I mean, it happened already, okay? Dr. Osmani, my very good friend, yeah, he died that night. He was a doctor in ICU. After all, it's all about the people. And one last one I want to show. This was in Yemen. I was also the ER doctor and the ICU doctor in Yemen, again with all my other medical colleagues, pediatricians and surgeons. Yeah, so there was a lot of airstrikes. You can see the smoke. It's just very nearby. This happened also. This is one of the mass casualty incidents. At one time, I think when maybe 45 patients came at one time because of an airstrike. On this day, March 15. I guarantee you, none of you know about this market bombing. None of you know about this. Because around the same time, this happened in Brussels, in Europe. So again, you have to, I can know, just thinking out loud is like, when this happens in Yemen, no one bothers. This happens in Europe, it's all over the place. And this same hospital, where I was in Yemen, also kena bomb after I left 2016 here. The same place. So this targeting of hospitals is it's like a new, I'm not saying new, but it's a new, it seems like the thing nowadays, people like, they always like to do. It's not good. It's raise some awareness that is quite dangerous. And it shouldn't happen. This one was in 2016. UPS, it's called UPS in Yemen. And then again, this year, February, again you can read. Same hospital. Oh my God. after rebuilt. After 5 years, again, the same thing. And you see the Twitter likes, only 4 likes, 30 likes, 50 likes. No one bother. Hospital got bombed. So, yeah. So anyway, they resume activities at the same time. Okay, do you have enough time? Or halas, finish? No more? Again in Yemen, this place in Yemen, sorry, I'm moving a lot. There's a lot of slides. This place in Sada, in the north of Yemen. I talk about this because compared to the one in Kunduz, the hospital, where it's all MSF from ER, ICU, all the way to the rehabilitation or that. This hospital, we work together with the local authorities. It's very hard to work with local authorities. It's very difficult. We have no independence. So as you know, the Yemen war is also very complicated. It's also ongoing at the same time. But MSF, we take care of the surgical wards, we take care of the ER, we take care of the pediatric ward, but the ICU is left for the local Ministry of Health to take care. The ICU, good ICU, a lot of ventilators, but they control the ICU. Why? This is the ICU door, the front door. Yeah, all the stickers. This is not pop star. This one is all the soldiers or the fighters that died in their war on the ICU walls. You see how they make it like, wow, so they're like heroes like that. So the ICU is only for these soldiers. Only for soldiers. This man was involved also in one of the airstrikes in his house. You see my nurse begging, no ICU bed, because he's not a soldier. So this was my mistake. I decided to intubate this gentleman. But this one, when I first came, I didn't realize that the ICU was blocked for these patients. So now, so we are stuck. This guy is intubated on a ventilator like this, manual ventilator, manual bagging, but nowhere to go. He cannot go to the capital city because it's 6 hours drive away. So I always remember this case because I think in a way it's my mistake because I decided to intubate this guy. Because I thought, got ICU what? Can enter after this, but no, cannot. So it was very difficult. It was very difficult. This one is a rock star. Really, this is the cover of their music, the rock star of these guys. So I thought it was quite funny, this one. Okay, you see the boy? The jambia, the knife, that's a typical Yemeni, like what they wear to dress, the jambia, the knife. You see the sticker there? It's the same sticker as an ICU. You put the sticker on the ICU, the same sticker there. That's his brother. So you see this young boy. Every day I see him in the ER helping us, quite a nice guy. Then I asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be like the doctor like us, not? No. I'll be like my brother and fight. Yeah, and fight. So, any of you, your free time want to join MSF to go for mission? Don't worry, there's a lot of jobs for you. The Yemeni war will not end so soon. Afghanistan will not be better soon. So, as you know, they don't take only doctors. We can always also take non-medical people, logistician, HR, finance, everything to help. Yeah, all the local stuff. It's all about the people. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lim. Well, indeed, we have seen the whole spectrum of work that we can do. Of course, there are some burning questions we need to ask the speakers, but we would like to invite the speakers up on stage. Yeah, firing squad. So we won't leave you undefended. So each one of you can have some weapon. First of all, I think we are very fortunate that in this room, there are so many of you who have gone for missions of different types. Wow. And the common denominator seems to be TIMA, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So we would like actually at this point, first open up the questions to the floor. I'm sure among you, there are some who ask, for example, if you are a TCM doctor, you say, how come in the list there, they don't need TCM? Any answer?
TCM?
TCM or even dentists. There are quite a few dentists here, right?
How, Sarah?
Sarah, dentist, how to answer?
Dentist here.
Sarah, how come you don't want dentists?
It's not a, that's not something that we provide. So we usually do, the range of treatments that we do are, surgical and also responding to emergencies. So and mainly medical, physical and mental, I guess, but not like dentistry, yeah, things like that.
But TIMA got missions for them.
Yeah, TIMA got.
Well, perhaps I'll address that. Over the years of missions, when people ask me questions, I tell them my simplified version of medicine modern day medicine is at three levels, all right? And in Singapore, we see all the three levels. The first level is what we call the level when you are not well and you want to see a doctor, right? So it can be war, it can be sickness, it can be anything, but that's the first level. So the ground worker has to be whoever is available, preferably a doctor, of course. Then there's a next level, a second level where we have the specialties, where we cannot actually work on that kind of ground. That means if you come with a cough and go like in prescribed medicine, I can even give you the medicine and go home and look after yourself. But there are certain conditions where we need to admit you to hospital, and then we need a facility like what you have in MSF. Without the facility, actually you can't do anything because you have no anesthesia. Like you have ICU, you get intubate the patient, then you're stuck. You need the ventilator. See, so that is level what we call level 2. Level 2 occurs in all our hospitals, and even the community hospital will have that. Now, the most important actually in medicine is level 3. Level 3 is where I need somebody like Humanistic and so on, somebody to train the doctors to be able to do level 2. And the job of that at that level is very, very sophisticated. And I've been approached actually many times on missions to places like Nepal, up in the mountains, and all. Dr. Fong, we need surgeons. Can you get some retired people come and operate? And I say, okay, how many cases have you got? We have 30 cases a year. I say, oh, if I call him here, he'll be retired and he'll be climbing mountains and he will not be operating, because that's what he does in maybe 1 week, let alone a whole year. That's not enough for us to do training and teaching, which you need for longevity, you see. Without that level, you cannot keep on regenerating the people you need to maintain level 2. And without the level 2, then of course, there's no level. We were in Bhutan. I was in Bhutan, and they said, "Oh, well, how many students have got for medicine? 50." I said, "Do you know how to train 50 doctors? The structure that we need to put in." I tell you, it's so much easier. You fly you 50 people to India and train them there. It is impossible to train people without patients, because for the surgeon, even today we are faced. I'm a plastic surgeon, and we put a requirement. You want to do plastic surgery, you must do cleft lip surgery. And how many cleft lip? 40 a year. There are only 40 born a year in Singapore, you know, and there are like 40 surgeons, so each one only has 1 case. How are we going to train anybody? See? That is the price to pay, okay? Now, when we translate that into what we are doing at the mission level, the person planning the mission, hoping to do it, must understand this concept first, because then you know how to plug at where your problem is. At the working end, when I'm seeing 16,000 patients, majority will not need to have, let's say, a thyroidectomy or some fierce operation. Majority will be pain here and there. They cannot. And that's where, guess what? My TCM is actually the most useful person. 50% of the mission team actually is work done actually by TCM. The other 50% done by dentists. Then what do the rest of us do? Well, we hang around, and when they send a few cases, we just do them. But that's really what happens. The problem is obviously, like what you pointed out, is political. Whenever you enter a country to help people, you are implying that they are unable to manage it themselves. Okay? So then how do you take that step to help, but not show that they are not able to do the job? Okay. So many a time, I have taken the approach, and I guess this, what's happened in Sichi is, from what because I started this so long ago, is that we will not step on the people's toes. We will try to help them. So we go in actually to support whatever government is willing. So somebody identifies a place that needs support. The first thing we go in is we actually talk to the government and tell them, okay, there are people asking for this. We are willing to come and help you, but we will not do that. We will make it look like you are the one doing it. So you can take the credit. That's not a problem for us. What we do want is for it to grow. And the first level, which is just seeing people and providing the basic treatment, is only one level. Remember, we have to go to the next level to get to the hospitals. And finally, we need to go to the third level so that they can keep on regenerating the doctors to do it. And that is the most difficult, I find, for us to do. But as a planner, that's actually what we end up doing. right? It is a necessary requirement to take time. So any mission I embark on, I give the country 5 to 8 years for us to find somebody to train. And hopefully then they can prove the point and then we can keep going. Yeah. So in many countries, it's take Myanmar, I've been there 25 years. Okay, it was the first country that I chose to volunteer to help by giving lecture on birds. And before the COVID, we had to go and provide them a mechanism of training how the surgeons can do microsurgery, how you certify a surgeon to be capable of the microsurgery, and then provide the equipment. But it took 25 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, yeah, if I may add to, yeah, it's exactly that. And I think for MSF, because mainly we respond to emergencies. So for us as well, it's always, when we go in there is to fill a gap, when there's a medical gap and a medical need. And for example, mainly when the medical infrastructure of that country's, broken. And typically as well for us, it's either we've been invited by the government themselves, the Ministry of Health themselves, to support them, or we offer the service. So there's always that conversation. And also for us, it's always, we're very happy when the project closes, because that's when we see, okay, it's successful. We're not there to we don't want to be there forever. The whole point is to help build capacity of the medical infrastructure there, and through the training and all that, so that it's sustainable. So very, very similar as well. The whole point is, we respond to the immediate medical humanitarian need, and once it's already sustainable, that's when we find it successful, when we're able to close the projects.
Thank you. And at the same time, as we are seated here watching this whole sharing live, there are people online who are watching us at the same time. And some of these people have posted their questions. And one of the questions they ask is, if I'm an electrician, or I'm an insurance agent, or I'm just a lay person, a homemaker, but I'm interested to join you in your mission, how would you screen us? Is there a process that you will screen before we can join MSF as a volunteer?
Oh yeah, I mean, at least for professionals, we do online. Yeah, but I think otherwise, at least for us, the screening is some interviews, and there's assessments and all that. It takes quite a while, about 1 year. So apply. I tell some of my colleagues to apply early if they're interested. As opposed to electricians, actually electricians, I know a friend now in Ukraine as an electrician. They need electricians now, of course. Yeah, so I cannot review where she is, but yes. So it's, I'm sure also it's a technical assessment as well, of course, because you have to be in the field. The buck stops with you. You are the only one, or you are the specialist to assess and implement whatever your technical expertise. As for housewife, I'm not sure, honestly. Son, support, donate. Yes.
Yeah, if you want to join MSF, anyone who's watching online, or if you're here, the first thing you do, so for Singapore, the pool of field workers, they're all assessed by MSF in Hong Kong. So what you can do, it's all on our website, msf-seasia.org, and it's quite a thorough, Q&A where you can read through and see whether you feel like you're really ready to kind of apply, and that's where you apply. All applications are done online, and then once you've applied, then someone from the Hong Kong office will then respond if they feel like you meet the minimum requirements. So I think for a non-medical staff, your minimum requirement would be at least 2 years professional experience. For medical professionals, I think if for doctors, you need to complete your housemanship, and then 2 years after that. And I think, if you want to know whether, it really depends. I think for Dr. Lim, he would suggest that if you have specialized in something, that would be easier for you if you want to apply apply to MSF, but some may think otherwise. You can always just apply first. And then once your application has been reviewed and you are shortlisted, then we will go through what we call an assessment center. So in Singapore, sometimes, I'm not sure whether it's already started. I think we have restarted assessment centers in Singapore, where if we have applicants from Singapore, we have our colleagues from Hong Kong who come here and do the assessment center yourself. So it's a lot of like simulations and these questions, and not just asking about your professional experiences, but also, soft skills, which is very, very important, especially when you go to the field, because you don't want to go there and be unprepared, and you really need to be aware of where you're going and why you're doing what you're doing, so that it can be more seamless for everyone, really.
So do you accept auxiliaries like hairdresser, cooks?
No, we don't, unfortunately. But what you can do if you're interested in humanitarian work really is to learn more about MSF, what we do, be advocates. We love if you could share about our work, attend these sessions, and share with your friends and family members about us, and just, be more active, engaged citizens of the world. Yeah.
So you mentioned soft skills are important. Let's say somebody who is a social worker, can they apply?
Yes. Yes, of course. Social worker is very important. Yeah.
We also have, I think health, it slipped my mind. But so I can't remember exactly the role, but in some of these places in Africa, for example, where it's really hard to get people to even, understand what's going on. Maybe there's a disease, so you have outreach, yes, health outreach. Yeah. Health promotion, yes, let's go. This is great. He's actually here from Hong Kong. Because just happened to be here. He's the director of Operations Support Unit in Hong Kong. So he really is the operations guys and know all these. But yeah, health promotion, health outreach. So these are people who we also do hire, and we want them, not hire, rather we appreciate your services as well, because it's all about it's more than just really doing the work and the treatment. Sometimes it's really about even convincing the people in the villages and where we go through that the work, why we do what we do, because sometimes there's also a resistance, and we just want to say, hey, we're not here, to do, we're really here to help and to support, provide medical support.
It's very important. It's like, I think Fong, so maybe in Myanmar, like some people need help with how to do breastfeeding, how to bathe the baby, how to feed the baby, things like that. Yeah, it needs a health promotion to do all these things, to advocate for all these things. It's quite broad. There's a lot of things to do actually.
In every time we go Tzu Chi mission, people always ask, "Are you go mission every year? Tzu Chi pay for you? Tzu Chi pay for your airfare? Tzu Chi pay for your accommodation?" Actually, in Tzu Chi, all the volunteers pay themselves. They pay for their own flight, accommodation, food, everything. Is it the same for MSF?
No, we do provide stipends. We pay for your flight and accommodation. We provide very small stipends. So, I mean, Dr. Lim can attest that it's nothing compared to his salary at SGH, for example. Yeah,
I don't pay. I mean, like to travel. For example, you go to Afghanistan, the flight from here all the way there to my doorstep where I stay in the project is I don't have to pay anything. It's all thanks to the logistical team to bring me there. But I have a small allowance every month. Yeah.
Oh, not bad. There's even an allowance.
Yes.
It's very, very minimal. And it really is thanks to our donors and who supported us. And again, with MSF, everyone travels the same, no matter which, whatever your rank is with MSF, everyone travels economy. So this is something that we are super strict on as well.
Because in the movie, we saw that some of them travel with family. So in those situations, MSF...
That's quite unique. It's very, very rare. I don't know, Gert, if you want to share.
There's some family missions, yes. Yeah. But as in some places, as far as I know, some family missions are very stable. A good example is actually Malaysia. We have a project in Malaysia taking care of the Rohingya refugees, and it's a stable project, meaning you can bring your family there. So you have to be in contract maybe 2 years, if I remember correctly. You can bring your family and then you have to do the work for 2 years, but the salary is very minimal. I'm not sure. For me, I don't mind living in Penang to stay there for 2 years.
Yeah, so there is family missions, but of course they are very limited because it depends on safety and security as well if you go with children. But MSF also provides in the transport. And we do have a salary, but I think as you're all high-level professionals, like doctors, dentists, the pay that you get, the salary that you get, Dr. Lim, is not the same as what you earn here. But we do have a salary because as Dr. Lim, 10 years, I've been doing it over 13 years. You cannot survive if you don't have any salary, because we also go home once in a while because of what we've seen in the movie, because we have family, we have friends, we have a life at home as well. So you need to provide for these things. But the salary is not what you get in your normal life or the normal possibilities, or even the private sector. It's very different. Yeah.
So how do you help the families that go? How do you help them to settle in terms of the children's education? Is there anything at all? They have to do self-teaching?
No, so you go to the locations where there are schools. You're not going to go, like for example, where Dr. Lim has been. I've been also in Kunduz at the time. That's not the place you can go with your family. You would go, for example, Baghdad. Baghdad at the moment, not years ago, but at the moment, Baghdad is a very big city, has international schools as well. So there you can go. Of course, if it's a toddler, it's a different situation, but if your children are a bit older, you need also a place where there is an actual international school. Because otherwise you actually have to do home teaching, but you have your job with MSF, so you cannot do that. So it is very limited, and not everybody is willing. And we have seen in the movie as well a couple of examples, but they are rare because you go to a situation where there is most likely an instability factor and tropical diseases, what you're not used to as well, especially smaller children, it's going to be more difficult. So it's a very different, it's probably a selfish decision as well, I think.
So how about the people like to know at the current moment, a lot of people are talking about Ukraine. So what is MSF's involvement or commitment in Ukraine? Would you like to come?
So, yeah, so I don't know how I ended up with the microphone.
So that the online audience can see who you are. Come, please.
Yeah, okay.
Camera is there.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Gui. Mr. Gui is one of the most ardent volunteers in Tzu Chi.
No problem. I actually came in because I started working with Sarah years ago, and we never met in real life, so I took the opportunity to come here. So what are we doing in Ukraine at the moment? Before the conflict started, we had MDR-TB project. Of course, that has dissolved. Now that the war is calming down because of the winter, we're trying to pick up that activity as well, because we have the knowledge. We know it is a big problem. It's a very chronic problem. People missing out on treatment, and especially if it's already multi-drug resistant TB, it becomes even worse as a problem. We are all over the country, depending on what the access is. So we're behind the front line. We're not in the front line ourselves, but we're just behind the front line working on referrals. So main activities is when injured people come from the front line, is that we stabilize and then try to refer them to a facility, depending on the proximity, whether it's MSF or whether it's a Ukrainian hospital, doesn't matter where there is space and where there is also possibility to treat them. So that's a big activity, a lot of referral. We do a lot of supply, as Dr. Lim mentioned as well. It's very important. There is no regular supply anymore in the country, so there is a lot of lack of medicine material that got destroyed. So we're trying to do that as well. We have a quite unique project for MSF.
The train.
The train. So we talked with the railroad company, and we took a train and we transformed it into a referral ICU unit. So it has all the facility inside the train, and it does the trip from where the safest, the west side of the country towards Lviv, and it goes all across the country, and it picks up patients. Of course, we think about war, we think about gunshot wounds, blast, but there is everything else as well. Appendicitis, C-sections, they continue. And the good example of all the births you mentioned in Afghanistan, yeah, people don't stop being pregnant or giving birth. So all these people that we find along the stations, we pick up and we refer them to the hospitals that are available. Mental health is another one. Training as well, always very, very needed support to the national staff. We have the international staff, but we have the national staff. Without them, we cannot work. The majority of people working for MSF is national staff, language-wise. So we support them as well, also in their mental health, because they go into things that we cannot understand. As Dr. Lim said, we go home, 3 months, we go home. They live there, day in, day out. So there is quite some activity ongoing. At the moment, it seems to stabilize a little bit, so we can start thinking about other things, but we're doing winterization. There is no energy at the moment. Helping with repairing hospitals. The electrician, again, comes back. So there is a lot of activity ongoing at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Let's say, according to Dr. Lim sharing, the hospital was actually bombed. Do they not observe Geneva's treaty, or treaty is thrown out the window?
Oh, putting him on the spot. And Kunduz was Americans, yeah, the Americans. Yeah, it was difficult. But the rest, I don't know.
Perhaps one question I'd like to ask. One of the reasons why I've avoided conflict areas is that sometimes the other side will treat you as an enemy because you are helping actually the poor people, right? And how do you sort that problem out? When the attacking people will treat you as an enemy, even though your work is humanitarian and you have helped both sides, but they don't care. They say you are helping this, so you have become their enemy. What do you do then?
Yeah.
Yeah, you engage with everybody. The same with Ukraine. We also engage with Russia. There is a lot of people out of the contested area, let's call it like that, that moved across the border and are now in Russia. They also need help. So we try to engage with everybody. You don't get the same response. That's a different thing. But you engage with everybody. Talking about hospital, because I also have been there. I opened it at the time being. There's a big MSF, there was a big MSF logo on the roof.
Yeah.
The US military had all the coordinates of the hospital. It's difficult. How do you defend that? And since it's my personal opinion, since that event where we did speak out a lot and nobody ever took responsibility, we've seen it happening a lot more and more. Yemen is a good example. It becomes a strategy for certain actors.
So now we invite the audience on the floor. Those who have a question, maybe you'd like to share it.
Hi, I just have a couple of questions, and thanks a lot for the sharing today. It really opens up my eye, and I heard about this MSF a long time ago, and then I'm really impressed with what you have shared today, with all the stories that you brought forward, all the inside stories, which I've never came across in the past. But I'm just wondering. First question is very simple questions. I'm not sure how wide is MSF coverage in the world, like how many countries you have been to or how many volunteers you have around the world, because I'm always impressed with all of the passion that you have and the volunteers that you're recruiting, especially all the professional people that you have in your team, willing to travel, especially to those countries in the conflict. And it's not easy to convince, especially professionals, to go to those countries. But our passion, I'm really very impressed with all the work that you are doing. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for that comment. For us, we have, I think now over 60,000 staff, if I'm getting the statistics correct. And this is including not just field workers, but including people like Gert, who works in the office, of myself doing communication. So all of us, there's a total of over 60,000. I think that's right. And in terms of countries, we're in, I think 72 countries around the world today. Yeah. Sorry, was there any other questions? Was there another?
Sorry, so I say I have a couple of questions. So the next question I have is, beside the medical professionals that you have in your team, people like me who are not in medical professionals. So do you need people like non-professional in the medical field that are helping up in the MSF as well? And do we go through the same process of having a year of interviewing and also the before recruitment, or having a field work and joining the team? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, definitely need the non-medicals, as we all mentioned just now. Very important. The doctor is the easy one, easy job. We just turn up. But the rest of the people it's very important. Yeah. What's your background? Just curious.
I'm non-related to this at all. I'm in an engineering background.
Logisticians are very important, especially in some places.
Logistician.
An engineer, yeah.
Engineer.
So logisticians, to even, access and generators and things like that in some of these places where they don't even have, electricity, you need to have generators. I don't think, Dr. Lim, can you do that? Can you work the generator?
Yeah, they need logistics, of course.
No, can you as a doctor work the generator?
Me?
No.
No.
That's why we need the logisticians. So yeah, that's really important as well. And I think 1 year, I think it really depends on how long that recruitment process is. Sometimes it takes longer because we're trying to match your skill set to the pool of what's needed at that point. So it really depends. Some takes shorter time where, okay, let's say, for example, there really is a need to send someone to a
consultancy, maybe.
Yeah, then it's very different. And if you already match your skills and then we'll send you there sooner.
By the way, the MSF missions are not only in the conflict zone. For me, I'm biased because I've only ever been, but it's actually very broad. There's all over in Africa, more stable HIV, TB projects and all that. I got one perspective about this bombing of hospitals. Actually, it's, how to say it, may sound crazy, but I think it's not as bad as those missions maybe in Haiti or Central African Republic, where there's all these militias, criminal gangs on alcohol, on drugs. is more dangerous than being in a war zone to me. I think I've never been to Haiti. I've never been to Africa mission other than with Dr. Eugene in Kenya. But my friends told me that those in these kind of missions where you will have to interact with all these different militias, different tribes, you know, and then you don't know when they come in. All this criminal activity is more dangerous than a war zone. War, at least as a, how to say, good side and a bad side, or you versus me kind of thing. But all these militias, it can be under influence of alcohol or drugs. It can be child soldiers. I think it's much more dangerous. You ask me to go to Haiti or Congo now, I think I don't want to go. I'd rather go to Afghanistan again.
So it begs the question, when a volunteer signs up with MSF or with Tzu Chi, do they have to sign Sen Si Zhuang, indemnity, to say anything happens to me, I cannot claim?
Of course, and we also insured. Yes.
There are things to sign when you go to conflict areas, that you are aware where you go. There is insurance, of course, as it is MSF is an employer and has its duties, of course, towards all the staff. But what we have seen, we've seen in the video, for example, Ebola as well. Those are very particular missions with very particular risks, which to some people they look, it's exciting, it's the adrenaline, but you really need to think where you go, because it has a lot of implications, as we have seen also in the movie as well, because you have to go back home after Ebola. Does your family actually want to see you? I know a lot of stories of people who were not even allowed in their own house. Their husband or wife didn't want to see them for 3 weeks. They want them to go in quarantine somewhere else. So people need to think about that. So for certain missions, yes, we do need to sign that you are aware. Not that MSF is not going to do anything, because that's the advantage of such a big organization. For me, and I don't know if it's the same for you, Dr. Lim, it helps me to take the decision to go somewhere, because I know if something happens, there is a whole organization behind me that will do whatever it takes to help me. But you need to take a conscious decision before you go somewhere. And that, I think, is a very important thing.
Yes, thank you very much. And also online, audience have also asked a question. How do you balance between your humanitarian work and your family commitments, your responsibilities, and so on? Maybe I should ask Prof. Fong, because I know you're always going places. You have so many interests. So I want to ask you, how do you balance?
I guess if you are really into it, motivated, people will tend to follow you, you know. That's what I find. So most of my mission team people actually may not necessarily be known to me. I always tell myself, as long as we remain steadfast in what you are doing, you're doing it right, people will follow you. All I need from everybody is a little bit of that interest, you know, and I can make use of that to do a lot of things. And it must be recognized that way. That is one of the reasons why the question set up, why is it that we don't pay for Tzu Chi members and make them volunteer? It's so that they can honestly tell everybody they paid and they went and they came back. It's their credit. It's not my credit at all. I'm just the organizer, and we of course get the permits and so on necessary. But the individual who actually, when I started, I remember there were plenty of people willing to sponsor, not a question. Within the organization, we have a lot of people willing to say, no, he doesn't earn very much money, I will pay for it. The answer is no. And the reason is when we paid for this, you take away the credit from him, you know, that he was a volunteer. So I told him, that time we were in Indonesia, and I told him, we go to Indonesia, all you have to do is save $1 every day. In 1 year, you have $365. That's enough for me to bring you to Indonesia for mission to and fro. So it is, today I have to raise $2, okay? It's going to be $700 anymore. But we have stuck to that, to our guns all these years. I've been nearly 20 years, and it has worked wonderfully because I let everybody in. Okay, there are no distinctions. I do not do even an interview. I say, if you want to come, there are even people who came with me because they want to be on television, right? Because I said, fine, let them come. After they've done one mission, they give that all up. You see, because they actually meet the real humanitarians, the volunteers who have coughed up all, saved every bit just to attend the mission. That is the key to it. Yeah.
How to balance?
Yes. Oh, how do you balance? Because for most of us here, we only volunteer like 1 week, 1 weekend, 10 days, you know. But you're talking about months.
Yeah. Actually,
full time.
Most important initially in SGH, my head of the department was very supportive. He gives me no pay leave almost every year to go for no pay leave. But after that, I went a bit more selfish. I wanted more, so I quit my job, and because it's not nice to take up a head space at your department and getting no pay leave, even with a supportive boss. So yeah, but I find it like it's like a job. I think I wouldn't say that if I go mission, I come back, I feel, oh, life here is so different. No, I can just adapt. I enjoy my food, again, as you all know. Yeah, and then in the mission recent years, there's been good internet to keep in touch with friends and family. Last time, yeah, I think it was very poor internet. Yeah, I was a bit disconnected. But now I feel it's part of the life. I think is not say my friends can still chat anyway. Yeah, so we'll see how long this will go on for. Maybe go back to full-time work. Who knows? Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure everybody know that we have had a wonderful time today, and we had also had many questions answered, and it's also stirred up the interest of many people who may consider volunteering in different aspects, whether you are engineer, you're an accountant, or hairdresser, engineer, and so on. So you have one more question? Oh, okay. Okay. Ma Qinghua has got another question. Looks like he's very keen.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Teng.
Maybe you want to come to the front so the online audience can see you too.
Yeah. So just one last question, which I'm curious about this. That because I joined Dr. Fong as well in a couple of missions, and I'm really impressed with professionals like you and the team. You all being involved in the humanitarian, because for humanitarian works, so for some people it's just another word of very twin-tasting word to pronounce. But you really take it as part of your life and did it with all the passion that you have. So my question is, what is driving you to do this? Instead of spending your time enjoying yourself at a beach or in a nice hotel, but sweating out and then doing all the nights and all the hard work in the field together with all the volunteers in this order is poor country and all the countries and all the places that need help. So what is driving you actually throughout all these years in being involved in all this humanitarian work? And probably Dr. Fong and Dr. Lim can help to answer. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, when we first started as a doctor, especially in Singapore, and I think Singapore reflects the modern world. We earn an income from doing our work. So when the first question you have to ask yourselves, why did you become a doctor? Right? It was never because of the money. But in the end, it became all about money, right? If you go and ask any doctor in Mount Elizabeth and so on, it's all about money because you have to pay your debts, you have to pay your loans, you have to pay. So it ended up patient was being treated so that they could earn an income. When you do the mission work, when we did the mission work, I did plenty of other missions. Don't forget, we have done everything from United Nations missions, Singapore missions, I've done with churches, you name it, I've done everything. The reason why I think Searchy is the best mission, and we haven't gone into the subject of Searchy because they're all Searchy members here, but Searchy has given us one thing that you don't get in all the other missions, and that is you become a doctor again, but no fees are involved. Okay, it's all provided for by Searchy. So your only contribution, other than of course as a doctor, is that you have to pay your own way there, which is of course small fry medicine for private surgeons, right? But when you are on site and you're seeing, you're working your desperately best to try to treat so many people, you get a lot of returns as a doctor. It gives you back your reason to be a doctor.
Oh, thanks, Prof. Fong. I also wanted to ask you this question also. Because I always hear about you, and yeah, you're doing this for many, many years. Also actually for all you also. But for me, I think my answer changed every time. When you first asked me when I joined MSF, it's a different answer. That time was a bit more adventurous. So, oh, this is quite interesting. Let's go and try this mission. So as I got a bit older, yeah, now I felt that now I think it's like what Prof said, a bit like a privilege. We have this skill set. I think it's good to expand our own skill set and apply our skills to those most in need. Yeah, and then as I mentioned just now, I think I feel very proud that MSF is in some places that where there's no one else is there, only you or us to do the work. I feel like, wow, it's quite a privilege and it's something you can do at the same time. Yeah, so this is my answer for now, for today. Ask me tomorrow may be different, or next year, who knows. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I have one more thing to add to whatever you said. That is for myself. Why there was a question. But underlying that you asked, why do I do missions of? I've done single missions, that means one man team, me only with my bag, and I go to a country and do my operations. Very satisfying, because you're one man team. But it achieves very little as a one man team. The most important thing, I think, and Master Cheng Yan is right, the founder of Searchy. Collectively, why there's so much suffering is because we all have created, people have created bad karma. Yeah, all this killing, murdering, guess what? They're all going to suffer the same thing eventually. It comes back to them. And the only way to solve the collective suffering is collective benevolence. So we cannot do a mission by yourself. You must have everybody. Then you will have the collective benevolence.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, so we have a wonderful session this afternoon. It leaves us to thank both the speakers for the wonderful sharing, and of course, MSF representatives for coming out to share some of the perspectives that we are not aware of. So we would like to invite Ma Ching Hua to give a token of appreciation. First to Dr. Fong. And next to Dr. Lim. We'll stay on stage to take a photo, the three of you. Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. And for all of you who have still burning questions, you can stay back and chat with Dr. Fong or Dr. Lim. Better still, have a dinner with Dr. Lim. I know what is coming.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks.
Okay, and Sarah Bakri, please. Okay. And please, for you. There's this advantage of coming on stage. The minute you come on stage, you get something.
It's MSF style, adaptable.
Finally, we do not lose the opportunity to share with you our future events. Maybe have the next slide. So if you like to know what are the future events, scan me. Please scan and know what are the future events that are coming on. Nowadays, everything is about digital, right? So you can just scan and know the digital events. Yeah, another event that's coming on is the year-end blessing ceremony that will be held in the Jingsi Hall in Pasir Ris. So again, you scan the code, then you will be able to know the dates, the timing, and so on. And one more slide. For those of you who are motivated by the sharers and would like to join in humanitarian work, maybe on a short-term basis, not so long as MSF wants, do scan it and you can join TIMA. There's an online registration. Finally, we thank everybody, including those online, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you. Have a good evening.